1 show, 2 show, 3 show, 4. Your wait for Andrew's thoughts is no more.
Every choice made has led to this.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the first ever Star Wars show binge discussion episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Drew.
And the three amigos are back. The best trio on the internet.
Heck yeah.
And we have a good show planned for you tonight because, as you heard, Andrew's back.
Yep.
And we're going over every single show that he has missed in the past year and a half. And he's going to be giving his thoughts on all of them. So, the Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, Tales of the Jedi, Bad
All
Batch,
just all of
Mando Season 3, and
Yep.
Visions Volume 2. So that's 7.
It's going to be Empire.
whatever.
It's going to be Empire Radio's first 19-hour episode. So buckle in,
Yep.
get some
Alright.
popcorn,
I'm off tomorrow, so
Grab a drink or something.
Yeah.
I'm good to go.
do
But
some Wesley Andrews coffee.
yes. And so before we get into today's episode, we have a funny story from
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah.
So we took a week off last week because Memorial Day, and we just didn't want to do anything, whatever. And
Yep.
so we took a week off, and so okay, see you in 2 weeks, first Tuesday in June, because Andrew be back every first Tuesday of every month. Awesome, blah blah blah. So I come home from work last Tuesday. I'm checking the interwebs, checking the Discord, and eating dinner or whatever, and I see that in our, because we use the video feeds on Discord to do the live stream on Twitch, and I saw that Andrew was on. I'm like, oh, this is weird. I was like, oh, maybe he's setting up his own like Discord for his like YouTube channel, like to interact with his fans or something. I don't know. So I was like, oh, he's just trying to mess around with settings or something, see something, how something works. And I click on the thing, surprise me, hey, what's up? And on Discord, for some reason, Andrew can't get his audio to work.
Yeah. Jeremiah
Like-
can't hear me at all, no matter
Yeah.
what I say.
No-
and it's
no
funny
matter-
because Drew can.
Yeah.
So Drew can hear me. I
so
can hear
weird.
Drew. I can hear Jeremiah. But for whatever reason, Jeremiah cannot hear me.
Jeremiah can hear me, and I can
Yeah.
hear Jeremiah.
Yeah.
So it's really weird. We don't know what's going on. So I know I can't hear him say anything, but there's the chat feature in the Discord video.
yeah.
But before I do the chat thing, I was like, why are you here? Or why
Yeah.
are you on? Or something like that. And the look of dread on your face, Andrew.
Okay.
was
So
priceless.
I think it's worth putting my perspective into this at this point. So I get off work, it's like 5:30 Pacific, and I eat dinner with my wife, and I'm like, yeah, okay, like it's time to go. I'm gonna do the podcast. I'm thinking, whatever, it's the first Tuesday, so we're gonna do the podcast. So I come in here and I get set up, get my mic set up, I get my camera, the lights, everything. I'm setting up, and I sit down and I get in the voice chat. And it's like 5
to like start.
It was
normally.
like 5:55 for me PST. So like 5 minutes before we're supposed to all like already be in Zencaster, already be in Discord. We're like supposed to be ready to hit the countdown, and no one's here. And I'm thinking like, oh man, it's just crazy. Maybe Jeremiah's busy with work and Drew's doing something or whatever. And then Jeremiah pops in the chat, and he's sitting on his couch. And it was like an angle. It looks like he's just like a normal person sitting on a couch watching TV, and his computer's like off to his left. And I was like, this is a really weird angle, but I guess we're trying something new. And then Jeremiah says, why are you here? This is when he said, why are you here? And it clicked. This was not the first Tuesday of the month. And so I looked at the date and I was like, oh, it's next week. And then Jeremiah was like, yo, it's not this week. We're doing it next week. And then I was like, I turned to Micaiah in the kitchen. I was like, Micaiah, did you know that we weren't like, wasn't the first? She was like, yeah, I thought it was next week. And I was like, why didn't you say anything? I guess it was because, so like the weekend before I had made the thumbnail for this. And I think because of that, I was like, okay, I got to make the thumbnail. I got to get ready. Like the night before we binged the rest of Visions. We hadn't finished it. We binged it in preparation for this
You were
recording.
like pumped, ready to go.
Yeah. I was like all day, like thinking about what I was going to say about the shows and like getting ready to talk about this stuff. And then all of a sudden it's just, so why are you here? And then of course, Jeremiah and I start having a conversation, but he can't hear me.
Yeah.
So he's saying stuff and like, I'm trying to get my audio to work. It's not working. So I'm just like typing away my responses. So he is talking to me. I can hear him and I am literally typing my responses back. So at the end of it, we stayed on for like 5 minutes. At the end of it, I was like, well, I'm going to go.
Well, first we wanted to like mess with Drew.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, Drew, are you coming?
And then Drew was like, we're doing it tonight? I was like, no, dude, you're good. Just.
I was like, I was like in bed and I saw my phone. I'm like, well, yeah, we're going tonight. I can do tonight. I'm down. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like I was okay with it. I was just like in bed. I was like, instead of watching YouTube, I'll just come do the podcast. I'm down.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, we almost recorded.
That was a funny story.
Yep.
But we're here tonight.
We're here tonight.
And it feels, I don't know. I can't imagine what Andrew feels, but for me, 1 week off, I feel so weird. Like, I feel like I haven't been here for like a year. I don't know. I miss everyone.
I literally haven't been here for over a year.
Well,
so,
that's what we're talking about
it feels
tonight.
weird. Yeah, that's true. We're recapping everything. So yeah, it was funny when we were, we announced that I was going to be, on once a month. And then it was after we got done with that recording. It was after that. And we had that discussion of like, so what do we want to talk about for these episodes? And then Jeremiah was like, well, why don't we just talk about everything that you weren't here for? I was like, heck yes, let's see if we can do it. So
yeah, so we're going to try and move quick, like 15 minutes a show. I know that's a hard thing to do.
For some of it, my memory is bad enough that it'll probably be like
I liked it.
Pretty easy to get through it, some of it in 15 minutes.
So that being said, we might as well just jump into it. So
really quickly though, how far back?
What?
How far back are we going?
The Book of Boba Fett.
Which was...
I told you the list.
No. Sorry, I was looking for the date.
He's trying to figure out the
December 29th, 2021.
So you were here for the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett, I believe. Because like something scheduling got messed up or something, and you were supposed to be done before then, but then like something happened where like you were there for like 1 extra week, and so
so December. I mean, we're talking December of 2021, right before New Year's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going way back.
Yep. So the Book of Boba Fett. That is the first thing that you missed. I think you did. Did you send in a voicemail during like the Mando episode?
Yeah. I remember being absolutely speechless for that episode.
And I remember you spoiling the Ahsoka.
No.
That spoiled the crap out of me.
Anyways.
We'll get to that. But the Book of Boba Fett, what was it? 7 episodes?
Yeah, something like that.
Andrew, what were your thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett?
Okay. So here's a disclaimer that you're going to probably... I just need to go ahead and get it out of the way because it'll blanket many of the things that I'm going to say tonight. So I am thankful for the content that we received. Ultimately, you're smiling because you know where this is going, Jeremiah, I feel like. But like I am thankful and receptive of the content from Star Wars that we have received. However, because I have consumed so much of the expanded universe materials, I feel like it is impossible for me to not compare the two. And it's impossible for me to not feel even just a little bit of grief of what the stories could have been, right? So like in the midst of all of the negative things that I say, just please keep in mind that I'm still very thankful for what we got. You know, like we got more Star Wars. We got to, you know, consume more Star Wars content. We've had a ton of content in the last like year and a half, year and a few months or whatever.
Definitely.
But it's bittersweet for me. So starting with the Book of Boba Fett, very bittersweet for me because I have read The War of the Bounty Hunters. At least I've read the first 2 of the 3 expanded universe novels. And it covers a similar time period too. So it's like literally in the first book, it covers Boba Fett escaping from the Sarlacc, the first things he does. And then there's a few little jumps, but there's like, it covers a very similar timeline. And so I didn't love it. I'll say it that way. I didn't hate it, but there were things about the storytelling that I really did not like the way that they did. So first and foremost, the elephant in the room for everyone was the back to tank flashbacks. I feel like that was like when I was watching YouTube videos and when I was reading articles about it, everyone had a problem with that. And I too did not enjoy that.
So are you saying that that's how they used like the excuse to do flashbacks, or the flashbacks as a whole?
No, okay, so I liked the flashbacks.
Okay.
I did not like the way that they cut in between these stories. It's like, to me, my thing is like the flashbacks should have been the full season. Like I don't care about, like, it sounds harsh, but like I don't care about Boba Fett being the daimyo of Tatooine. I don't, because like, first of all, it was such a departure from the Boba Fett that we had already kind of been used to, like the hard as steel, like no BS, like
Beskar, not steel.
Yes, get out. Valid. No, that was pretty good. So like, I don't care about that. My thing is like, it's a much more interesting story of him getting out of the Sarlacc pit and then integrating into this Tusken Raider tribe. Like, that is a more compelling story for me, and it's
right.
It's more contained. You know, like, give me that story. You can still put Cad Bane in it. Like, really quickly, I love Cad Bane's appearance. I felt like it was a little too fan servicey, but I love Cad Bane. Love Cobb Bane.
No, that was the whole point. That was like, give me that fan. That was the best cameo in all Star Wars, dude.
Yeah, I love Cad Bane.
He's not dead.
Cobb Vanth, I freaking love his character. I liked him. I liked him as a character, you know, but like, and we could talk about the Mando episode in a second, but like, they could have done it to where he gets integrated into the tribe, and then maybe someone has a hit out on Boba, and Cad Bane comes in to, you know, and maybe he's the one who takes out the Tusken village with the sole purpose of drawing Boba Fett out. Like, you can still have that tragedy. You can still have this buildup, and then it gets ripped away. And then maybe this informs the character of Boba Fett. So maybe throughout the whole process of him getting, you know, integrated into the tribe, he opens himself up a little bit more. And then this hardens him again. Like, that would have been more interesting for me than, oh, we're telling this backstory of how he got out of the Sarlacc and all these things. And then all of a sudden we're like, we've got the freaking Power Ranger scooters and everything going on. And like the Rand course, like all of the big epic fight scene at the end was enjoyable. I hate that freaking spin. The guy who spins it. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It doesn't make sense. No matter which way you look at it. I don't care what your argument is. It doesn't make sense. But like,
if he spun the opposite way, you could argue is so that he could turn and shoot faster.
Yeah, but it's like,
but it was the wrong direction, and so then
it's the same thing when people do the big like jump kicks and fights, like when they run and they do that. Because like when I was doing karate, my sensei literally looked at us and he was like, "We're gonna learn jump kicks. Never do these in a real fight." He was like, "If anybody who knows what they're doing sees you do that, they are going to take you out of the air so fast." It's pointless. So anyways,
hey, but spinning's a good
Spinning is a good trick. Spinning is a great trick, but not when you're in a blaster fight for your life. But anyways, so my thing with Book of Boba Fett, they should have focused on that Tusken story and made it the main story. It didn't need to be far reaching into the future. There didn't need to be these two timelines of him becoming a crime boss. Like, just give us character development, which is when we get to Andor, you're going to hear that a lot in a very good way. But for the Book of Boba Fett, I needed more character development because it felt like such a departure from the Boba Fett that we, I guess, thought we all knew, you know? And of course, with all of the media in the expanded universe, like he's BA. He's like super BA. Like Boba Fett in the expanded universe is like the John Wick of Star Wars in some ways. Like it's a very similar experience. He has the same like legacy, and he has a very similar like legend to his name that John Wick does in the same universe. So it's like, I don't know. It's just weird.
So
yeah.
So okay, I get the whole like contrast between what we got and the EU stuff.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I wonder if when everything is all said and done with the Heir to the Empire film,
sure,
and you know the Book of Boba Fett is going to be part of this. This is part of the story, and we're going to see Boba Fett again, probably in that movie or in future seasons of whatever shows. Do you think that the Book of Boba Fett, like looking back when it's all said and done, is going to be more important to the bigger story to like make it more enjoyable? Because we get to see the 30,000 view of everything. And like, oh, the Book of all that stuff that happened at the time, it didn't make sense. It was kind of boring, but when looking at the bigger picture, it worked. Or are you not that optimistic?
No, it's a great question. It's one I really hadn't thought about. I think that if it does inform the larger story and if it does make more sense later, it's still going to come with the context of like, yeah, but we could have done this another way. You know, like I would appreciate it more. Sure. Like I remember when season 7 came out for Clone Wars, and we had a lot of things to say about certain arcs in that season that felt more kind of throwaway-y, or like I remember it's funny because I remember distinctly the episodes of the Bad Batch, those 4 episodes. I remember us like, especially one, I don't remember which one it was, but I remember us being like, yeah, this wasn't really a great, compelling episode. And then, of course, in hindsight, we see all 4 together and you're like, okay, this makes a lot more sense. I like the story more. So it's possible, but I still view the Book of Boba Fett as like somewhat of a missed opportunity in that it could have been better. But like, there was so much about it. Like, to me, the best episode of the show was one that he wasn't in the entire time. It was the Mando episode. And that's the other thing that I still don't fully understand why that decision was made. Specifically, the reunification of Mando and Grogu in that show.
That was the biggest mistake that they did. Was doing that.
I have read a few articles on the internet, so take them with as much weight as you want. I have no idea if any of this is true, but I have heard that decision was above Favreau's pay grade. Like he was forced. Because what I know of Filoni and Favreau, they are much better storytellers than that. Like that is not a mistake that we have known them historically to just make and go through the entire production process, get released to the world, and be like,
were they leading that?
Favreau was.
What was it?
No, I think it was Dave.
No, it wasn't Dave. I don't think. Let me see who.
I'm pretty sure it was Jon Favreau.
It was created by Jon Favreau.
Oh, okay.
I heard in the article that I read, it was more so this kind of the stereotypical, like Kathleen Kennedy wanted things to be done, and there were some there were some creative differences, and she made Jon Favreau do it.
Every episode was written by Jon Favreau, and Dave helped with episode 6, which was the Ahsoka episode.
Yeah. So,
but
which makes sense to why John is having a lot of issues with Kathy Kennedy right now.
Yeah. I mean, like, it just, to me, what we know about them, it doesn't make sense. Like it's very much a departure from like what we know that their standard is and their track record is. And so that was the weirdest thing for me. It was also the most enjoyable episode because I think the VFX for Luke were tons better. I think they did a really good job of like not making him talk as much. Like they were really intentional when they did it so that they didn't have to do it a ton, because that was, the lips were one of the things that were like a really big throw off the first time for me. I loved that whole episode. I mean, it made me emotional seeing Luke, the green lightsaber. Like that's like peak Luke, you know, Return of the Jedi, post Return of the Jedi Luke. Seeing Grogu train was amazing. I really had a problem with Grogu going back. I really don't think that they should have done that. And that's just me. You know, I understand because of the way the story progresses in the sequels, like Grogu's not mentioned. He's not he really isn't mentioned as part of Luke's first Jedi Temple. Like even in the canon comics, what is it, the Rise of Kylo Ren or something, they show the temple and there's only a handful of students. Grogu's not one of them. So it's like you have to inform the absence of this character, but like also why make him go back with Mando in a completely different show? Because like that's been the thing that everyone has made a joke about. It's like, what if you haven't seen Boba Fett and all of a sudden Mando season 3 starts and you're like, what in the heck is happening right now?
There was a guy I saw, like a random person on YouTube that I've never seen before, like a really, like literally his laptop webcam type quality, and he's watching Mando season 3 opener, and he's like, I don't get this. Like, why is Grogu here? Blah, blah, blah. And people in the comments were like, oh, he came back in the book Boba Fett. And he's like, oh, yeah, I gave up on that show like 3 episodes in or something like that.
Yeah.
Which,
and I mean, it was a great episode. It's a great story.
I mean, if you watch the recap, though, it kind of tells you what happened.
Yeah, how many people skipped that, though?
Yeah, you skipped the recap.
Who did?
You.
I did too.
No, I don't.
I skipped it.
No, remember in Mando season 2, like when there was like the speech thing of like, you have something that I want, blah blah blah, and like you just skipped that over that. So when he was saying it to Moff Gideon, you're like, "Why? I never heard this speech before." You remember that?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I 100%. I'm guilty. Like when we started season 3, I was like, "Boop, get me to the action." I was like, I know what happened. So I don't know. That episode was really great. I loved it. And I think I loved it because it was so far removed from what we had been experiencing.
Watching, yeah.
And again, the ending battles, I mean, like anytime Boba and Mando are together and they're doing their thing, it's great. It's going to be extravagant. The Rancor thing was like some of the best fan service you could give. Like one
of my favorite scenes though that I thought was like the most memorable for me was the introduction of Black Chrysanthemum.
Oh,
when
yeah.
When he walks in the huts are there, that whole scene. But then when we see Black Chrysanthemum come in, I'm like, who is this guy? He looks so intense.
Did you know who he was before then?
No.
Okay, so he makes an appearance in the canon. You know now, yeah.
So like,
anyways, yeah.
But it's just like, but then like at the end, like when he's like getting wrecked by Trandoshans, I'm like, I don't know. I felt like he was just kind of weak. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I know he was outnumbered like 50-1. I get it, but
okay. So
that first scene was just intense.
This is you're hitting on something that I think is very relevant, and that is the perceived greatness of a character versus what we actually got. Like, even in the comics, he's known as this like BA ruthless bounty hunter.
Right.
Like, he's known as one of the best. And then this happens. Same thing with Boba Fett. Like, there were a few moments earlier on when they were walking around in Tatooine, and he like when they got ambushed. Remember, he had the coins in his helmet, and they get ambushed, and he like kind of has his butt handed to him, kind of in the fight. It's like that, and I get it. The freaking he was recovering, but it's like you had to really pick up on the subtleties to inform that he's not his best. And then in general, we didn't really get the Boba Fett that is worthy of the legend that had been created. So it's like there was a lot in this show of like a lot of buildup, and then it just didn't follow through,
Right.
at least to me.
And even without having the EU to compare it to, a lot of people were just disappointed by it. Like,
Sure, yeah.
Drew and I were disappointed, and for the same reasons like you did, for some of the reasons you mentioned, and it's just like,
well, and I think it would be different if we hadn't seen what we saw at the end of Mando season 2.
Exactly.
Because he does work.
Yeah.
I mean, like in that scene with the stormtroopers and stuff, he's got the freaking the knee rockets, and I don't know. I liked that, and I was like, oh yeah, this is Boba Fett. This is the Boba Fett that we know.
My biggest complaint is that, and I've said it 1,054 times, but the boy takes his helmet off for no reason all the time. And just leave it on your head.
He's all angry about that.
People know you for Boba Fett with your helmet on, not off. No one wants to see your balls.
That was probably an agreement for Tamora.
Yeah, I know. Which maybe is why he didn't get called to do Mando season 3, but that's a story for a different day.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to be in Ahsoka as Rex, so
yeah. Red Buff says the soundtrack was fire. The soundtrack was fire. The music was really good. The one thing I have to say this: why would he? So he makes it out of the Sarlacc with his arm. I guess he was knocked out, but like still, he makes it out of the Sarlacc with his armor, and then he goes back to get it, and he flies Slave One freaking parallel to the ground in the Sarlacc. Like, why? That didn't make any sense.
What's the safest thing to do? You can't just go in by yourself, like
I feel like
swan dive in, like.
But like, what did he think was going to happen?
I don't know. When was the last time a ship hovered over?
I did like the fan service of the seismic charge, though.
Dope.
That was a beautiful sound.
Yeah, whenever you get a seismic charge, it's...
But and then the scene where he was flying Slave One over in parallel with the train, that was a really cool scene. Like, but
there was a lot of cool scenes throughout Boba Fett, but there is a lot of things that.
We gotta keep things moving.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, it was great, but it was also really disappointing. It's kind of,
Right. Yeah, cool. Well, let's move on to the next show. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan.
There you go. I was hoping Drew was going to say that. Okay, so this is another one.
Ooh.
Yeah. I might have a hot take on this one.
Which, hey, before we jump in, are you guys excited for this movie?
What movie?
So one of the editors is creating a 2-hour movie.
They've already... No, it's already out. That's been out since like last summer, dude.
Where can you watch it?
It's on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube or something.
Old news, Drew.
Yeah.
No, but
unless someone else is doing it, but someone
else is doing it, and it's actually getting like Disney's approving it. It's a coworker of Disney.
Oh.
Because he's changing like the Grand Inquisitor's head to be normal shape.
Okay.
He's like changing a bunch of things.
I highly doubt that Disney is going to have approve a thing like that.
It's not a fan film,
though. Whatever. I'm saying Disney. Why would Disney approve of something like that? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it would be them admitting that they were wrong the first time.
Yeah, I don't think it's just all rumors anyway, and this is the first I've ever heard of it, so it's obviously not.
Oh, it's been all over the internet.
Except for...
Well, you don't hang out in the right places sometimes, Jeremy.
Okay, if Star Wars Theory isn't covering it, then it's not relevant. Like, he covers every news that comes out, every little rumor that comes out.
These are Jeremiah's 2 rules. If Star Wars Theory isn't covering it, it's not real. If it's the EU, it doesn't matter. Those are his 2 core tenets of Star Wars.
I'm not saying I watched Star Wars Theory, but when something is popping on the internet, Star Wars Theory is always first to like
Yeah.
talk for like an hour and say the same stuff
I just
every
saw it
5
the other
minutes.
day, and I thought it was curious. Maybe it is the same one. And
Anyway.
maybe I didn't do it.
Yep.
Andrew, your
So
hot take.
yeah, so this was a show for me that could have been a lot better. Like, so for me, this was the show that I was the most excited about, which is ironic because Andor is my favorite by a long shot, but we'll get to that.
But we had no idea what we were going to get.
Right. Well, because like, you know, Cassian Andor at the time wasn't a character for me that I was like, heck yeah, he deserves his own show. Let's go. You know, like it was like, no, Obi-Wan's coming back. Ewan's back. Hayden's back. Like as the news started rolling out, I'm like, there will be no greater Star Wars release of my lifetime probably than this because of all of the potential that it had, right? And I have to admit that there were some fantastic moments, like the scene between him and Vader, that last fight, and the way that it changed between Hayden's voice and the synthesized Vader voice, like all of that, freaking brilliant. It made me emotional. Like I got chills multiple times. Like that is peak, some of the best Star Wars I've seen as an isolated event, right? But then what I had a problem with, like I really loved young Leia.
Oh,
the actress, like the actress,
Everybody.
freaking phenomenal. She absolutely slayed that part. And I really loved towards the end how they bonded, and they're, you know, like there were some really emotional moments towards the end, especially for my wife who like really loved the like Princess of Alderaan and all of those, like she read Bloodlines and stuff, so she really likes Leia. So those were really good. However, I don't know if that was the right story to tell for this show. I don't think it was a bad story. I just don't know if that was the one they should have gone with. You know, like it's like what would pull. So Obi-Wan's on Tatooine. I think the logic is Obi-Wan's on Tatooine. How do we make a compelling story about that? Well, obviously, we have to take him off of Tatooine because Tatooine isn't, you know, quote, isn't compelling enough by itself, right? So you have to get him to leave. And so it's like, well, it's Drew's favorite place. It's like Drew's vacation home. So anyways, so like, it's like, well, how do we get Obi-Wan to leave Tatooine? Well, the single thing that can make him leave Tatooine and Luke, mind you, is Leia. So I think that was kind of the thought process. Like, how can we get him away? Well, obviously Leia's got to be in danger. So I get it. I liked the story. I don't think it was the right one for the show. So again, here we go again. The novel Kenobi takes place on Tatooine and follows a similar time period, you know, but everything is on Tatooine. He doesn't leave. He refuses to leave. He's protecting Luke, and then in the meantime, he gets caught up with this group of settlers out and by an oasis, and there's like a Tusken Raider arc, and it's really crazy because you find out that is the tribe in part that was slaughtered by Anakin in Attack of the Clones, and so there's like huge animosity towards the Jedi, and it like informs how he learns to do the Krayt Dragon call in A New Hope to get them to scatter, and it's like all cool. Yeah, it really ties in super super well to the movies, but it's a smaller story. It's not this. It's very character driven and it's very enjoyable, but it's not the same scale that you would need for a show, like, you know, like a blockbuster show for Disney Plus. And so I get why they pulled him away, but I wish that they hadn't in some ways. Like, and in the book, there at the end of a few of the chapters, there are these monologues where he's essentially trying to connect with Qui-Gon. And he like really goes in depth in his feelings and his shame and his guilt and all these things. And like, of course, Qui-Gon doesn't answer until the end of the book. Spoilers for that if you're going to read it. And it's a similar experience as the show. I love that part. But I don't know. There was something about it that was like, no, for me, it was like Obi-Wan's supposed to stay on Tatooine. Like, he's supposed to be, that's his thing. This is one mission, is staying on Tatooine to protect Luke. And then all of a sudden he's like off traveling the galaxy, and like peak Vader, you know, he snaps the dude's neck and just dragging him and stuff. Like, so you know, cool. It's terrifying.
So cool.
Drew's like, I love murder,
Dude,
but like,
so dope.
but I mean, like
So dope.
none of it was bad.
Right.
Vader was amazing. I really enjoyed, after I realized what they were doing, how weak Obi-Wan was at the beginning,
Mhm.
because he was still like so caught up in his shame and his guilt, and he wasn't as attuned to the Force, and he had to kind of regain all that. Like, I get it, but it just felt again like a missed opportunity. And people might be listening and being like, well, fine, if you're going to say that, if you're going to trash it, what's your alternative? I don't really have one.
Right. Like your
But-
logic on why they had to go with Leia's story, like to get him off. Like I
Yeah.
totally, I don't know what else they could do.
Mhm.
I think when that first trailer came out, that like you were on for, actually, I think.
Yeah.
I think we kind of theorized that, the Inquisitors that get to Tatooine are sensing Luke, and Obi-Wan has to lead them away. Like, they actually sensing Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I think that's what we were originally theorizing.
And that's a much more compelling story to me.
Right. But I think, but we also have to look at the story in context of what Reva was doing.
Sadly.
Because, like, the whole point is she made these connections on her own. And the whole Leia thing just doesn't happen. It was Reva found Leia, made the connection.
True. All of that led up to her
all
finding
that
Luke.
stuff.
Yeah.
And so, like, that whole Reva trying to get revenge and kill Vader, like, that's the motivation behind everything.
Sure.
And I think that is the compelling thing that forced the Leia thing to actually work. And
Sure.
so, like, I think the issue that I had, like, because we ranked every episode, like, how many, whatever, out of 10, however we were doing. And I think, like, adding up, like, all but one episode, I gave a 10 out of 10. Like, every episode standalone was amazing, except for one episode that I gave, like, 7 out of 10. But, like,
Sure.
Which one was that again?
that was the second episode.
Dude, I don't remember what happened.
When they find the fake Jedi and
yeah.
all that stuff, like,
Yeah.
but, like, I gave it 57 out of 60 by the end of the show. But, like, looking back, it's like there was something with the pacing that was weird to me. Like, something, like, it's something.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, like, I didn't, like, I haven't watched it since last summer, so I should probably just watch it again. Just, like,
I haven't
through
rewatched it either. Yeah.
But, like, it makes sense. Like, the whole Reva stuff makes sense. I think it's a good story that she worked her way up to try and get next to Vader to kill him. Like, I think that is a really good story.
Yeah.
I like the Order 66 opening scene of the show.
Sure.
Like, that was amazing. Like,
yeah.
So it's like,
again, I think that there's so many isolated, like, fantastic isolated moments in the show, and, like, you can't deny that. Like the fight between Reva and Vader, loved that. It was great. He was just toying with her, and that's like the Vader that we see in Fallen Order and at Rogue One, and like, they're making him scary again, or Jedi Survivor, but, like, there's just something about it that's like, there was so much anticipation for an Obi-Wan show. Like, this is his first big or small screen, whatever you want to call it, like, official media appearance since Revenge of the Sith. Like, this is the first time we have seen the character.
right.
And it's like, part of it just felt like they didn't live up to that. And it is, like, legitimately kind of sad for me to say that. Like, there's a part of me that, like, doesn't wish that I didn't feel this way, because there is so much good about the show. But I'm like, man, I just feel like there was something else that they could have done that was a more compelling story centered around Obi-Wan himself. Like, explore Order 66. Explore, like, him finding out that all of the Jedi were gone. Like, that's way more compelling than Leia in some ways. I don't know. Again, going back to my disclaimer, I'm not like the curmudgeon-y fan that, like, hates all this new stuff and only reads the EU. Like, there was so much good in that show.
But
Well,
let me
the
say
thing
this:
is-
where you? Oh, go ahead, Drew.
I was gonna say, the thing is too that's hard about that too is because the Leia character was so well done.
Oh,
So it's also
fantastic.
compelling in the sense of like, oh, I want something different. But at the same time, she was so good at acting that like
Well,
you
so
can't hate on her because she did amazing.
yeah, it's almost well, and I would never. I mean, she again, outside of Carrie Fisher, the best portrayal, well, the only portrayal, but like this felt like they really just nailed her character as a
Oh
young
yeah.
child. And it's like maybe that should have been its own show.
Well,
You know,
never
like
say never.
It's just funny because
It's
like
probably gonna happen.
people just make a comparison. Like at 10 years old, Leia's like on being chased by Inquisitors and going on an adventure with Obi-Wan,
And
but
Luke's
Luke
just-
is just playing with
Yeah. You know,
I don't know,
and
it's
like
just-
again, the final showdown between him and Vader was easily one of my top moments in all of Star Wars.
Mm.
Like when he finally is like, then my friend is truly dead. Like it still makes me emotional today. Like it's gut wrenching because of the bond that they had. And for Obi-Wan, this is like the final. I am fully accepting what is happening.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that wanted him to just kill Vader, but then I'm like, oh shoot, the original trilogy has to happen, so we can't do that. But it's like, God, that those moments were freaking incredible.
So-
But
And
it's
I feel like
I
it's
don't
some of
know.
the best acting by Hayden that
Oh, yeah.
we've ever seen.
yeah, well, because
well, it's not
he
that
has-
hard to get.
He has
better
good
than-
direction and lines this time. It's like,
Well, yeah, true. But he hasn't really done much since. So
Yeah.
like
he did Jumper. Jumper was a good movie.
I did not like
I
Jumper.
enjoyed that movie.
Well, it's fine. I enjoyed it.
But
Also, it's kind of weird that he looks older than
how do you feel about 50-year-old Anakin playing
Yeah, that was
19-year-old? That was
that was a stretch for me. That was a big stretch.
old
Because like
man.
I could tell that
When
they touched him up some, but I was like, I can't unsee Father
Well,
Anakin.
Well, the theory
No.
that some people have on that is whenever you get that in that episode, when you have that flashback, it seems like it's Vader remembering that. And so he's projecting his current age into that memory.
Okay, yeah.
That's what some people
that
theorize.
that makes it better. That makes it better.
Now, maybe that's just what these. Yeah, that's what we were going for. I
well,
think that's
because isn't the behind the scenes? I watched that and they talked about why they didn't.
Did they?
Yeah, I
don't
I
remember
really
that. We did an episode on it, didn't we?
And
yeah.
I watched
But
that too, and I don't remember
And
that.
where am I? I remember something about how they didn't want to do it because they didn't want to do deepfake on him.
Oh,
Well, that's
'Cause they-
probably just
they
because they
wanted-
would have been torn apart by the fans. But
Yeah, they were just saying like they wanted to keep him as original. And I remember there's talking about how they thought he didn't look that much different, and I was like, "You're
well, he
drinking some Kool-Aid."
for,
'Cause
first and foremost,
that
like he
boy's
doesn't
been
look
working on a
old.
farm.
Like he's aged pretty well, but it's
He
it's
needs a
hard
better
to it's hard to
skincare routine for sure, though.
huh?
He doesn't have a good skincare routine at all.
Well, I mean, but it's also hard because he had such great skin and he had such a young complexion in those
Well,
movies.
that's what I'm saying.
So
And
I
he's
don't
on a
know.
farm. He's on a tractor all the time.
yeah,
but I was gonna bring this up, and then Red Buff in the chat brings it up. But did you see the whole mask thing between the Ahsoka mask slice and Obi-Wan's mask slice theory or idea about how Ahsoka took off the right side of Anakin's mask in
Oh.
Twilight of the Apprentice.
yeah,
Obi-Wan was able to do the left side in the show,
yeah.
and neither could bring him
And
back.
Luke, I
Luke
got
takes
it, and
the
then
whole
Luke takes
helmet.
the whole thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
He was the only one able to save him.
that's
I
really
didn't see that.
interesting. Yeah, but again, I mean, all in all, I loved it for what it was. But I also, again, like with Book of Boba Fett, I can't help but wonder if it could have been more, if that makes sense. Like
Right.
there's always a little bit of a haunting in the back of my mind when I think about the show. That's like, what could it have been?
But let me ask you this. This kind of like conclude. That being said, are you satisfied with what we got?
because of the moments between him and Anakin, yes. But between him and Vader, yeah.
Okay.
That was the that was the payoff. Like, that was the thing, regardless of what the story was. He could have gone off and found Jar Jar and did the can with Jar Jar in a freaking cantina, a cantina in Naboo. It wouldn't matter. They had him and Vader had to. No, him and Vader had to have met again. Like, there had to have been a story point for those two characters because of how closely tied they are, and because we got that, yeah, like, I'm satisfied.
I feel like they executed that part really well.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
All right.
So
cool. Well, might as well jump into our next thing. But before we do that, let's take a little commercial break. Take a little breather. And let's hear a commercial from our good friend Lucy, who has a message for everybody.
Hey everyone, Lucy here, and I'm pleased to tell you that some of my fellow Empire Radio listeners and I made a fantastic original Star Wars audio drama, all through sending voicemails to the pod. It's called the Voicemail Cinematic Universe. Here's the thing, we need your help. The Empire's goal is to get an illustration made by us listeners for every single voicemail, and we have quite a ways to go. So if you have any sort of artistic abilities, join the crew. Any type of media is welcome. Lego scenes, digital art, paintings. You could even make food art. If you answer this call to action, there's a link in the description that leads directly to a Google Doc. It tells you exactly how to submit your art. This whole VCU project will be 100% fan-made, and we can't wait to see everyone's work. In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it.
Put that behind you. Leave it behind you. Leave it right behind you. That's amazing. I need that. That's so cool.
where?
Leave it behind you. Yes, right there.
What? How? What? Why? I'm so confused.
That's so dope. Please.
Dude,
I need that.
calling me a flex for my Lego X-Wing. Dude pulls out a whole
Magic trick. A giant person.
do
Do
it. Dude, what the heck?
Where did that?
So if you're not watching the YouTube version, you should, because I just did a big reveal.
Yeah,
Check my screen,
but
buddy. No, Gary.
I
he
have
has
a
a
48
toddler-sized stormtrooper.
a 48-inch First Order stormtrooper with a gun. It has a motion sensor for audio, and all it cost me was $20 and a loaf of my world famous banana bread. So,
Yo, that banana bread's worth its weight in stormtroopers. Let me tell you.
Stormtrooper.
so
That's
So
taller
what?
than Miles.
How?
So-
That's
do
so
you-
cool. No, leave it. We want to see it all
I gotta
night.
keep it out of the way so I don't knock it over. But my friend Chet, who sells used video games,
Oh yeah, I met him.
he had their own store that they ended up closing, and this was something he had in his store, and he wanted to get rid of it. And he was like, "Hey, do you want it?" I was like, "Sure. What do you want for it?" He's like, "Make me an offer." I was like, $20 and a loaf of my banana bread. He's like, "Deal."
Wow.
That's what's up.
So
Dude, I love how Jeremiah was just like holding that back until the
I
freaking
was-
commercial break.
Well,
And then he
why? I thought you went to
rolls
go grab
over.
water near the break.
Yeah, I was thinking, water break, and then he rolls out of the frame and comes back with a freaking stormtrooper. And I love how you were making a comment about me flexing because I've got the UCS X-wing over here. Dude
yeah,
pulls out a
it's
whole stormtrooper.
Yep. So
Wow,
that's
That's
my
amazing.
addition to my. It's like my
Star Wars collection.
third Star Wars thing that I own. But enough of my fun little.
yellow snow. Yes, the X-wing is out. They dropped it on May 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I had my birthday, I got some birthday money. I was like, this is the one
The
time a
mall
year
has
that I
a
can.
lot of them still.
Huh?
The MOA has a lot of those still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice
So
one.
my birthday money is like the one time that I can spend it on something fun and like not have to be bound by the stresses of being an adult and paying off bills and stuff. So it's like, well, I've got the Y wing, so why not do the
Yep.
Fact.
X wing?
But anyway, yes, VCU. Thanks you, Lucy, for that commercial.
I totally forgot. Yes, thank you,
Yes.
Lucy.
So we're
Very
down
important.
to just like 7 voicemails that need to be illustrated. We're almost done.
Yo,
And so one of them, from episode 137, I had it crossed off on the list, but I can't find it. I don't know who sent me it, so I don't know maybe I accidentally crossed it off, but if you illustrated for the Gungan Sith message from...
I'm sorry though. What?
You're gonna have to watch the movie when it comes out, Andrew.
Okay.
But if you illustrated from episode 137, the Gungan Sith voicemail, resend that
Jeremiah
to me.
lost it.
Because I have no idea. Because usually when I get it, I just quick add it to my video project just so I have it lined up with the audio. And I don't have that. So if that was you, I'm sorry. Please send it again. If not, someone else can jump in it and do it. So, but I think we got 7 or 8 left. So get it
It's
done.
moving.
So
It's
this
moving
could
on.
be the last week you heard that.
Maybe. Get it done, guys and gals and other people out there. Just get it done. Because I'm excited. I'm putting these things in. I'm re-listening to these voicemails, and I'm just laughing my butt off. Like, it's great.
It's confirmed. Jeremiah hasn't had a butt in weeks because of the voicemail. Get out. It's been gone. Okay, anyways.
I was like, what are you getting at? I'm like, oh.
You laughed your butt off. It's been...
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Walking around with
Anyway.
no butt.
He hasn't been able to sit down and... Anyways.
Anyway. Now, for the most anticipated discussion that I've been looking forward to.
Yes.
Andor.
Yes.
Tell me why this is the most amazing, perfect thing ever made in Star Wars. And
I still get chills thinking about Andor. Okay, you can feel the excitement probably emanating from me, but like I can't put into words how much I love Andor. Okay, so first and foremost, it was delivered in a way that felt like I was reading a Star Wars book. And
I've heard that a lot. Yep.
Let me explain. It's entirely because it was so character driven. So like without hearing the like inner monologues that you get in a book, it still felt like the characters were developed in a similar way, and every single character that was introduced, every single one, I might not remember this entirely correct, but the majority of all of the important ones were developed in some way, and it wasn't a throwaway. Every single character had an arc, didn't matter how small, and by the time you got to the end of the show, they were different in some way than they were before, and I loved that. Secondly, the cinematography was breathtaking. Just absolutely beautiful. Like some of the shots, especially when they were, what was it, Aldani? When they were actually out in like freaking Scotland or something, shooting on location. It was like, I mean, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And of course, everything's super practical. So it felt like very rooted in reality in a way that like, Mando really hasn't even felt for me.
So that being said, like the volume versus on set, on location,
yeah,
like I'm starting to feel like I'm getting claustrophobic with the volume now and seeing its flaws and not wanting it anymore.
I mean,
like,
the thing is like, and Jeremiah, I know you understand this because of following Corridor, but like there is no better way to film something than capturing it in camera.
Right.
No matter how good the VFX are, like the volume is amazing and obviously has changed cinematography in a very, very positive way, but it's still not as good as having a physical set and having something that the characters can interact with. I mean, it's one of the reasons why with the volume, there's still like like if they're on Tatooine, there's like a sand mound and there's rocks and stuff that you still want to have that those interaction points. But there's just something about like going to another country and filming on location that's like, it feels way more rooted to me. I mean, it's the same thing with Octo 2. Say what you want about The Last Jedi, but that set was beautiful and it worked and it felt lived in, you know, because they could actually
Yeah, and I also
go.
feel like as an actor, it's probably easier to feel
Yeah.
like you're immersed than just being in a room
Yeah.
full of TVs
Sure.
above your head. Like, yes, the volume is cool and it does have that effect too, but like to be like, all right, you have to be on set this day. We're flying you across the world to go to this place. Like, there's
Yeah.
something about being a human and you're like embracing all of this, what's going on in your life, that probably
Yeah.
definitely helps you act.
And I mean,
out
it does
certain things.
that does translate. I mean, that's a great point.
Yeah.
It translates into the acting. So the character development and the story was fantastic. Cinematography was amazing. The music, dear Lord, the music was just breathtaking. It was just the culmination of like everything that good cinema should be merged into a Star Wars story. I mean, like it just doesn't, I don't know. It just doesn't get much better than that for me. And I remember every single episode, just like it ended and I was just speechless. I was just like.
So how close were you to like, hey guys, can I join in discussion tonight or something like that? Like, were you ever like contemplating,
Yeah,
I got to jump in and onto the show? And
so obviously things have been really busy for me the last year and a half. During Andor was the single time that I was like I missed it at every point. I missed talking to you two at every point about Star Wars. But Andor was the one time that I was like, maybe it's time for me to come out of retirement and like join you. Because it was just like, I don't know, like even separated from Star Wars, like it's just a fantastic show. And every video essay, I've taken the time to watch an annoying amount of video essays about the show in hindsight, and every single one makes me appreciate it more because you pick up on things. I mean, of course, it's Star Wars first and foremost, and there's all of the Easter eggs, especially in Luthen, his shop. I'm still bad with names, but Luthen's shop. There's so many Easter eggs, but there was just so much character development that. So I'll try to explain it this way. So there are novels, Star Wars novels, canon or not, that I genuinely and truly love, even though the events that happen in the novels or the characters, I know how those things play out, right? So like there are stories like in Inferno Squad from Battlefront. That was a really great novel. It doesn't have much impact on the entire story because you know the Empire falls and Vader is dead and you know those things. But because of how well the characters are written, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It might seem like a throwaway story, but there's value added to the characters, and because of that, to the story as a whole. And it's very compelling. It's very interesting. This is the same thing with Andor. Like, I guess the spoiler alert here. He dies in Rogue One. Like he has a definite end. So,
we haven't seen a body, so it is Star Wars.
I don't know if you're going to see a body after that. It's gone. But Scarif happens, and that was the thing when they announced the show that I was like, okay, great, but like we've seen the end of Andor. We've seen him. We've gotten Andor. And we know how he dies. And so, like, how are you going to create a really compelling, really interesting story? But they hooked me personally with the way that they handled the characters. I mean, like, the betrayals stung. Freaking Andy Serkis is just
can't swim.
God, brilliant.
That
just I can't swim.
That was the worst for me. I was like crying. Oh, it was bad.
Yeah, I mean, like. The season goes through these little subplots and these little sub arcs, but they all inform Andor as he develops. And dude, Luthen's monologue.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite monologues I have ever heard. Like, just the way he explains the sacrifice that he has to carry, like the fighting for something that he'll never get to see, the burdens that he has to carry. I was like, oh my God, whoever wrote this monologue, they need to give an Academy Award to right now, because it was absolutely incredible. So for me, yeah, I don't know. I can't say enough good things about that show, because it was so rooted in relatable, real feeling characters.
Right. We can't disagree with you. We agree.
Yeah.
Like, we love that show so much, for all the same reasons that you gave. And it was just nice having a spy espionage type story that's not all action, or
Yeah.
you're not even looking for the action. Like,
Nope.
like in Obi-Wan or Boba Fett, like all you want is action. Like, you just want to see lightsabers. You just want to see Boba Fett kill everybody. Like, like this one, like, you want to make sure that when they do action, it has a great payoff, and you can't have that great payoff unless you have 3 episodes leading up to it, and you're looking forward to, like, this heist is going to happen in episode 6.
Yeah.
This Eye of Aldani is going to happen. We don't know what that looks like. Well, this a celestial event.
Beautiful.
Like, it was just like, and so it's the way they led up everything to, like, everything is just perfect payoff.
Well, and I think they did a really good job of conveying the stakes of everything without the need of like a physical fight in most cases.
Right.
Like,
you
they
see that with Mon Mothma, like all of her stuff. Like,
see,
dude,
that is the way you cut to a completely different plot that is, quote unquote, separate from the main story, and you do it well.
You have a 30-minute debate between me and Jeremiah.
Oh yeah,
that heated debate. That was
I did listen to that, but it's like, I don't know, like that, and that's the thing. Like, obviously, when you're reading a book, they can only convey action as good as the author can explain it.
Right.
And that's why character development in books is so important, because you're having to imagine the action when it does happen. And I think that's the thing. It's the same thing with Andor, like you were saying. Like, the action was welcomed, but like the stakes of like everything that was at stake and everything that the characters had to lose was communicated so well that, like, I agree with you. I wasn't like seeking out more action when I was watching that show. I was trying to figure out what was going to happen to the characters, and if that took place in a dogfight or in a blaster fight or whatever, like, so be it. But I was genuinely concerned for all of the characters throughout the entire show. So,
right.
So 12 out of 10.
I just finished reading Thrawn, the first of the Imperial era Thrawn books.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's at the beginning, he's like collecting like artifacts and memorabilia from the Clone Wars and stuff like that. I was like, what if in season 2 of Andor, we see Thrawn in Luthen's shop trying to find something?
Oh my, stop.
And just see Thrawn interacting with Luthen, and they have no idea who each other is, like, and we would already have what's his face doing Thrawn and Ahsoka and stuff, so like he's already on set, like, hey, let's do this set with Luthen for a day and get this scene done, like, or just have him in the background, like looking at stuff while he's talking to Mon Mothma or something, like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, there's about a, what is it, like a year time jump or something?
So
between the 2 seasons.
So the first season covers the span of a year.
Yeah,
it covers the year, and then the season 2 is covering an arc in each year after that. So each arc in season 2 will be a year. And I've heard, I think it's confirmed by, what's the guy, Gilroy?
Yeah.
Is that the guy?
Yeah.
I think he said
Tony Gilroy.
The last arc is literally like 2 days before Rogue One starts, or something like that.
Okay.
So that
gonna lead up to that guy grabbing
Yeah, and when he kills that guy in that asteroid thing or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's going to be a much quicker paced season, I think. So they're really going to focus on a 3-episode arcs for each year, and so it's going to be
Yeah.
a little different than season 1, where it's one long story of 12
Yeah.
episodes, and so it's going to be a different feel. And hopefully they can keep the magic still, because it's going to be completely different.
Yeah. I'm sure they will.
And
I'm
so,
not. I have no worries.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if we're going to see, because in Rebels we see Mon Mothma's speech to finally unite the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah.
Like, we're working towards that. Like, in her story arc, like, are we going to see that done in live action? Like,
Please.
because then we're going to see the ghosts. We're going to see the Rebels crew, like, in person. Like,
even if it's just the focus of her giving the speech, and then as she's giving it, they cut to like the different scenes, from Rebels, and it's just like, maybe it's like a pan, maybe it's just the people watching the speech, but
Right.
like, give us, I don't know.
And I wonder if we're going to see what what's his name? Forrest Whitaker's character,
Saw Gerrera.
Are we going to see what he does where Mon Mothma cut ties with him?
Please.
I think so.
Give me the dirt.
So like, there's so many things that they could do.
Just give me all the drama, please.
It has to be all relate and tie back to Andor, though. So it's like, how does he tie in to all these things where they can justify showing the speech, where they can justify showing Saw Gerrera's intense, terroristic, whatever. So
yeah, I'm excited. I know it's going to be delayed now because of the strike, but
yeah.
So, SAG is going on,
because originally they said like fall of 2024. So it was on pace to be that.
That's not happening.
But I don't know how long this strike is delaying things. Like, is it, if they strike for a month, does it delay everything a month, or does it not work like that? I don't know how that works.
Well, I mean, it just depends on what part of the production schedule these shows are in. Because I think the misconception is like, I think a lot of people from the outside are like, well, it's just the writers. If they've already got it written.
Yeah, some movie directors like, writing doesn't stop once you start filming.
No. I mean, I think the most important thing for the Star Wars universe, this will resonate the most, is that they have to be on set. So, for example, I'm sure they wrote most of the Mandalorian story in advance. So if you're on set for season 2, there are writers on set that have to be there to make sure the continuity stays the same for season 3. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's like, that's a real example in the world of Star Wars. It's very important for us, is that continuity. And so it's not just them writing the script. Like, I'm pretty sure Tony Gilroy had said that most of Andor season 2, if not all of it, had been complete. It was already completely written. But when that strike happens, all of production stops because the writers have to be on set. And now the SAG is going on. They just approved a strike like today or yesterday or something like that. So the Actors Guild everyone's going on strike. And it's necessary.
Even like Disney World and Disneyland is going to be probably shut down because of that.
Yeah. I mean,
the actors that perform there,
a lot of them are they could be part of the guild. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, and it's necessary. It's needed because these people are severely underpaid and underappreciated. But I think the cost is, we just have to wait a little bit longer.
Right.
I just don't want like a bad season of a show because of it.
I don't think that'll happen.
But that's what happened last time they went on strike. There's shows that like you can see.
That was in like 2000.
Well, I'm just saying.
8.
I remember when they went on strike in 2008 or whatever it was, and you would watch a television show, and then the next season came out and it was awful, and then it got good again.
That's what happened with Lost season.
Yeah, Lost
3 of Lost. People didn't like.
Yeah, because it was. So,
but
we'll see.
Anyway, that's Andor, and that's a show we could talk hours and hours on. But
yeah, like, I'm pretty sure if I had time if I went and rewatched it, we could do the episode breakdowns again and probably end up with completely different content. Right. I mean, it's
if you want,
maybe
You
I've
have
got
all
week
first week of July,
Yeah.
like nothing to do, right? Drew won't be there, but
won't
I
be
can
there.
make time.
We can just nerd out without Drew for.
Yeah, that'll be
I'll
nerding
watch
out
them.
without Drew.
Nah.
All right, so that was Andor. To be continued. Who knows?
Yep.
Maybe when it comes out, season 2 comes out, you'll join us for breakdowns. Maybe it's over
more
a year
likely.
away.
It's more likely than not, but yeah.
All right, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first,
well,
everyone.
if you for the first week of every month, if that episode is, if there's 12
That's true.
episodes, there'll be 3 episodes. You'd be here potentially.
Yeah.
So cool. All right, next up on the itinerary is Tales of the Jedi, the Ahsoka stories, and the Dooku stories. So let's just start out with the Ahsoka stories. What do you have to say?
I enjoyed them. Like,
all right,
it's
All right,
it-
Dooku episode.
yeah, no. Like, like the thing is like I enjoyed them, and they retconned the Ahsoka novel.
Yeah.
Which
again,
it's
Now here's the thing. So Dave Filoni addressed that, and he said what we got in Tales of the Jedi for that 3rd episode was the original story he wrote for Ahsoka before the novel came out, and they took that idea, the springboard off of, to write the novel. So yes, it is a retcon, but this is what Dave Filoni's story was for Ahsoka.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. There are some pretty strong similarities between the two stories too.
Right.
I mean, the whole farming thing. Even some of the characters were like eerily close, even though they weren't like named or it's like if you've read the novel, you can look at that through the lens and be like, this is almost the exact same story, but very condensed. There's actually a part of me that likes the fight with the Inquisitor more in Tales of the Jedi than in the Ahsoka novel.
Yeah, the Ahsoka novel was kind of like, she blew up the lightsaber and it killed him or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there was more happening in that novel with the other characters that I cared about, but like, I don't know, I enjoyed the visualization of that, and it really showed how powerful she was. So I liked it. I thought her, childhood story was fun. She's adorable. It's really cool to see the Togruta, like a village, and see their ways of life and stuff like that. So yeah, I like I have nothing bad to say about them. They just like weren't incredibly, they didn't stand out a ton for me. And maybe that's just because of the media, it's like more animated shorts types things instead of something else. But I will say the Dooku episodes.
We're just jumping over to Dooku now?
Yeah.
All right, Dooku.
Well, it's interesting because like I don't remember as much of the Ahsoka episodes as I did.
Do you remember what the 3rd episode was that you're not mentioning from Ahsoka?
Nope.
The Anakin training her to fight the clones.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now, okay. Hold on. I gotta go back to that. That's worth mentioning. I'd completely forgotten. That is such a phenomenal way of supplementing and adding to a story without someone needing to watch it, right? So like if you don't watch Tales of the Jedi, that moment in Clone Wars Season 7 doesn't change.
Right.
But if you watch Tales of the Jedi, it means more. And I think that that's one of the reasons why books like Plagueis and Kenobi, don't give me that look, Jeremiah.
Yeah, I always just bring up Plagueis like every episode. It's just funny.
That's funny because like every episode I've been on recently, we've talked about Plagueis, I'm pretty sure. But those are the types of things that I love about those books, because it's like if you don't know Plagueis and you watch The Phantom Menace, it's still however you interpret it. But like if you have read Plagueis, even though it's not canon, whatever.
Will.
I just saw Will. Wait, what did I miss? Why is there a trooper there?
Go back to the commercial break for the VCU.
Yeah, Jeremiah got a stormtrooper. Anyway, can you imagine like leaving the stream and coming back and there's just a stormtrooper? Anyways, so like it's brilliant. I love that they did that. It was such a good way of like adding more value to that scene. But yeah, I love that. I mean, I think that was my favorite story of the Ahsoka episodes.
The one thing that a missed opportunity they had with that episode was like, okay, they're in like the hangar on Coruscant practicing at first, and then she like passes out and she wakes up like on a like a Jedi cruiser or whatever, and it practices again, and she's like way better. Like the missed opportunity was they should have when she woke up on her way to Mandalore, and she had the Ahsoka troopers around her. They should have done that. Like she literally practiced defending herself a day before she had to do the real thing. Like that was a missed opportunity.
That would have been really good. Yeah,
but
I agree.
Either way, I thought it was so, like you said, good complimentary, supplementary, whatever you said.
Yeah, supplementary.
Whatever word's the proper word.
Yeah, any time that someone does that well, I love it. Anytime that they add something to the story, but they don't make it absolutely necessary for the continuity for you to understand it. Book of Boba Fett. But anytime they do that, I love it. That was brilliant. So,
all right, cool. So then,
yep,
the Dooku episodes. What do you have to say about that?
I loved them. I loved them because of the same reason that I love Dooku Jedi Lost, and that is
which I did read and listen to. So,
did you enjoy it?
I thought it was good. I thought it was okay. It's not like I was more compelled by like the Sifo Dyas stuff in that book than I was.
Oh, sure.
Like Dooku, they should have locked him up and put him in the Citadel when he was like 10 years old, and like,
LOL.
But
he did have some warning signs that he was
okay. Yeah. But well, so like, okay, might as well just jump, maybe, like, since we brought it up. But like, I feel like they did contradict the book though, because I don't understand how he could be walking around in a Jedi temple after he stepped down as a Jedi. Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't understand, because like, unless somehow they want to say him going back to Serrano and the killing that giant monster and becoming the Count was after what we see after he kills Yaddle, but like that wouldn't make sense. And so, like, I don't understand how.
So are you saying?
I'm saying that
how
he stepped down as a Jedi.
Okay. Yes. And then the thing with Yaddle happened. It would have happened after.
It would have to happen after, but that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah. No. I think that this is so. These are like, they're not what if stories, but they're kind of in that
what
like.
Is?
Yeah. It's kind of like this. Like, here's a, I don't know, kind of these short story kind of format things that may or may not be officially canon, because like,
no, they are officially canon.
Well, but like the thing about it is like, what happens if in the Ahsoka show they need to do a flashback of her as a child? Like, they're not going to hesitate to retcon Tales of the Jedi for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are canon as of now, but I feel like these are going to be the first stories to go should they need to redo something for live action.
I believe they said that shows and movies have priority over like books and comics. Like, we know that.
Well, and that's the second thing that I was going to say. It's like they can retcon Jedi Lost, some of the things that happen in that, and not bat an eye.
Right.
So, but I will say that those stories were really good because I have always been fascinated with Dooku as a character, and with Qui-Gon for similar reasons, because of the way that they view the Jedi Order and the complexities that comes along with that. But I loved those episodes. Like, I love seeing Padawan Qui-Gon and him struggle with what Dooku was doing, and like the scene with Yaddle. I love that because obviously the big question, the elephant in the room for the movies, is like, Yaddle's there and then Yaddle is not. Like, you don't see Yaddle anymore in the council. And so it's like, especially, I don't think it would have mattered as much if it was another Jedi.
Right.
But there are only three, technically three of Yoda's species. And like when one of them goes,
You lost
it's
33%
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
population.
yeah, it's like you notice that. And so in the books, she sacrifices herself to save. I haven't read the book, but I have it in my Ultimate Reader's Companion. But she sacrifices herself to save Anakin, and I think, and he like carries that guilt pretty hard.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would need to. I would need to grab it, but
book.
it's a yeah. I guess it is, but so
No, I was just wondering.
they explain why she's not around for Attack of the Clones, but this was a very interesting point, and I love because like you almost think he's not going to do it, but then he does it. And you're like, okay, well he's gone. He is fully gone, and I thought it was really interesting because of how because of the relationship between the two of them too. It wasn't, I mean, it was very brief, but it showed that they were more than just like random people that passed each other in the temple,
Yeah.
Right.
And then him killing her was it carried more weight. It's like, oh, he's not just like turning his back on the order. No, he's like literally turning his back on the order and killing a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, like she stepped down from the council because of what happened. And like she could have been like, if Dooku just waited, he could have saw hope that, oh, maybe the Jedi aren't lost because one council member stepped down, and they together could have maybe worked together to convince other people on the council or other Jedi that things are not going as good as we thought.
Yeah. Well, and it's really interesting too, because in Master and Apprentice, which is a canon book, you learn a lot more about Qui-Gon and his struggle with the council. They literally offer him a seat and he denies it, and it's like, so seeing these stories with Dooku like really informs a lot of other things that happen, in the prequel era. So I love them.
Yeah, I go back and watch that Yaddle episode quite often, actually. Like I always go back and watch. It seems like twice a month I watch that episode. It seems like, I don't know. Like really? I a lot. Like I'm just scrolling through Disney Plus. I'm like, oh, I'll watch this again. Like it's just so good.
Yeah.
And it's Grogu's mom. It's kind of sad.
Okay.
I just had to.
Here we go.
But yeah, so I would say that the second episode of the Dooku ones, where it's that senator one and investigating, like it was kind of like the worst of the three.
It was just like
There is there, and it kind of just explained why Mace Windu got put on the council and stuff. But
yeah, I mean it was enjoyable, but yeah, I agree.
But that first and third, it was cool seeing, I guess, like seeing Qui-Gon, young Qui, and they got Liam Neeson to voice him.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Oh no, sorry, no, his son voiced young Qui-Gon, but then Liam Neeson voiced adult or older.
Yeah,
and so that was cool.
That's really cool.
They did that. But yeah,
sick,
cool.
There you go. There's Tales of the Jedi.
If Dooku just waited, like I said, he could have sat down with Yaddle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is one of the things that pains me about Star Wars is all of the slight what ifs. Like, what if Qui-Gon had trained Anakin? What if Dooku had sat down with Yaddle? Like, all of these like things could have been so drastically different.
Well, especially if they're sitting over a cup of tea.
Yeah, you ruined my transition.
Oh, I'm so
Andrew.
sorry.
They could have sat down with a cup of coffee and talked things over.
You made it better by thinking.
Sorry, I was impassioned. I'm sorry.
Classic Empire Radio where we just get all off the rails. But if you enjoy coffee,
I was with you, Jeremiah.
If you enjoy coffee and you enjoy tea, take a listen to our commercial from Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea because they are our sponsor for today.
Hey, yo. Hey everyone, Andrew here. I'm pleased to tell you that the sponsor of today's episode is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. If you don't know anything about Wesley Andrews, you definitely should. They're an award-winning coffee roaster and shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they make fantastic coffee. The awesome thing is that whether you live in the Twin Cities or not, you can get their coffee beans delivered straight to your door by ordering them online. They even have a subscription service that ensures you never run out of amazing coffee. If you've been looking for some new coffee to try or a way to elevate your normal coffee routine, now's your chance. Head over to wesleyandrews.cc, use the code Empire Radio, that's with a capital E and a capital R with no space at checkout, to get 15% off your first purchase of any bags of coffee or a coffee subscription. I can't think of a better deal. Get 15% off some great coffee, support a small business, and support your favorite Star Wars podcast. In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it.
Do it.
Do it.
All right, cool. So that was Tales of the Jedi. Now we know there's a season 2. So
Yeah.
Andrew, would you say there are any specific Jedi that you would maybe like to see them do 3 episodes on?
Tales of the Sith.
Well, we wanted Tales of the Sith. That'd been really cool.
Yeah.
But they call it Tales of the Jedi season 2. So
Yo, give me Tales of the Sith, Plagueis. Give me Plagueis. Give me.
No,
even
I
if
want a
it's
movie.
even if
no,
they retcon
you
some
know
things.
why you don't want
Yeah.
that? Because it's going to contradict the book, and you're going to be disappointed.
No,
like
no,
you were
that's fine.
with-
That's fine. Just even if they have to change some things, like if they treat Plagueis the way that they treated Ahsoka's story, where it's like similar enough, but there's some differences in the story. I'm fine with that.
I
I'm
don't
fine.
want
Tre-
Plagueis.
Coleman Trebar in the chat.
God.
But I would say that we're going to get Plagueis and Acolyte. So
I was gonna say I don't want Plagueis.
Maybe.
yes, we are. We will.
It-
Maybe not in
What?
season 1, but we will eventually get.
This is still pretty far. I mean, how long do they?
It's
do the-
150 years before episode 1.
How long do the moons? How long do they last? Or they
Well-
last? How long do they live? That's what I meant to say. How long do they last?
I'm not saying that
That-
we're going to get him like full-fledged
Yeah.
Sith like season 1, but like
I wonder how long their life.
but like if let's say he recruits Palpatine at 50 years before, and he's 50. Like it could be like 100 years after the season. Like they could get it going.
Average lifespan more than 100 standard years.
Right. So I'm saying we
Yeah.
could get a tease of Plagueis. We could get Plagueis as someone in season 2 if there's a season 2 of Acolyte.
How old was he? Because I remember in the book, Andrew,
He's-
that he
he's
was like
pretty
in
advanced.
his 80s, but
He's
like
pretty advanced in years.
it was he was
I don't
older
remember.
for sure.
Okay.
It's kind of ironic that he could. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway,
We were
What-
this close to greatness. Anyways,
what Jedi would you like to
to
be featured in season 2?
So Jedi, no Sith, just Jedi.
Correct.
Oh
'Cause
man,
They
Okay.
already named it.
I'd love to see more of Mace Windu. I think that would be cool. He's always been a really fascinating character for me.
Maybe after he died.
They're not gonna touch that. They're not bold enough to
they're
touch
gonna
that.
test-
They're
one
not
day
gonna
we're
touch it.
touching that.
If they didn't bring him back to save Grogu from the temple, they're not gonna do it. That was their
Yeah,
one chance.
Yeah.
They ruined it. Or
I mean,
they didn't ruin
I
it.
like-
We got something better.
I
but-
liked Ahmed best. I like.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah. Anyways, Mace Windu would be a good one. Quinlan Voss is always a
Ooh,
fun
yeah,
one.
cool.
Yo, Dark what is it? Dark Disciple?
And
Is it?
and he's alive.
Hold on.
10 years into the Empire, he's still alive. So
Dark. What is it? Yes, Dark Disciple. Yo, Jeremiah, if you have not read, I've talked about it many times.
It's on my to-do list.
It's
I
him
haven't
and
bought it.
Asajj Ventress.
I
and
know.
they-
I know the story. I get it.
Anyways.
I want it. I'll eventually get to it.
but yeah,
Red Bull says Plo Koon and Kit Fisto.
Plo Koon. Yeah, Plo Koon would be
Koon.
fun.
Those would be great.
Finding Ahsoka.
I thought we were gonna get that at the end of that Ahsoka one where
Yeah,
we see
I
him
just
coming, but
I don't
No,
want a
just
story
like
about
the
that.
end of one episode is him like finding her. That'd be cool.
I don't really want. I feel like that would be a waste. Like
Okay, well,
I just
Alright.
like yeah,
Crush
she ends up at the
myself.
Jedi Temple, great, but like give me something that we have.
how?
Give me
Old
something.
lady brings her there or what?
No, he just goes and gets her and takes her back. It's like a freaking grocery run. Get out!
oh gosh.
I guess I deserve that. But anyways, like I don't know.
Kidnapping is this a grocery run? You heard it.
Well, that's a whole other discussion on the ethics of the Jedi. But I would say Mace Windu, Plo Koon would be interesting. I don't know.
And it doesn't have to be from like the movies or from like we
Yeah,
could do from like Stellan Gios or
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Elzer-
I feel like no one's.
Elzer Man.
The Rock?
Those are really those
Wait,
are
no, he wasn't a Jedi.
no Geode. They literally named him Geode. But I really liked those Jedi characters in the High Republic era. I
I do
liked them a
too.
lot.
I just feel like no one. It's not gonna have the same.
Yeah, but I would say from the
Odd
prequel
person.
era, I'm trying to think if there's anyone that might not have been a prominent character in
think,
the movies, but like would have
Young
been really interesting.
Obi-Wan up into
See,
episode 1.
I thought that was really interesting
Oh, we could
in
get-
Master and Apprentice.
We could get Obi-Wan and Satine when they were trapped on that planet for a year.
Oh yeah.
That would be a good one.
So I mean, there's some good options out there, but give me Tales of the Sith, okay? Give me Darth Bane, I need that. Give me Plagueis, I need that, and give me an adaptation of the Lost Tribe of the Sith. Those stories.
I feel like if they're gonna do Sith, they're gonna go based on established characters that people would recognize.
Yeah.
Maul.
So there would be Maul.
Give me Plagueis.
I want Palpatine. I want
Oh,
more
yeah.
Palpatine. Like I don't know. And it's just Anakin and Dooku, and we already did Dooku, so it's like they don't have many options for Sith unless they were to go. Because all I know is Bane and Revan are the only ones that are canon, and Plagueis. So
I don't get me started on Revan.
what do you mean?
Don't get me
I want
started
Live action.
because I can go. Revan is like literally. I mean, if you've seen any of our previous content, Revan is like literally one of my favorite characters of all time. So
I don't
give me Revan and Thrawn teaming up in a fanfic, and you have my attention for hours. Two of my favorite characters.
Power couple right there.
One of the most powerful. I mean, for real, like one of the most powerful Force users in the EU and the greatest military mind. So, anyways. Yep.
All right, cool.
All right.
So that brings us to Bad Batch Season 2.
Yes.
The good, the bad,
the ugly.
the ugly, and the beautiful. Andrew, what were your thoughts?
I enjoyed. Okay, so I enjoyed it. Andor kind of ruined me. I'm not okay. So here's why I say that, because Andor gave me this like super complex, like adult character driven Star Wars, and then the Bad Batch comes out and it felt more like a kid's show in context of what I had just experienced with Andor.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like obviously the Bad Batch is not strictly a kid's show. We've talked about that in the last episode. Well, we talked about all the animated shows, but still, like, I love the Bad Batch, but there was a part of me that I felt more aware of the differences in the writing and the storytelling because of Andor. Because like there's so much complexity there, and then it's like these more, at least until towards the end, these more like contained kind of 22-minute, start, stop, and finish, or start, middle, and finish stories. And so I really liked it. And I was really mad at them for what they did, because
Explain.
I don't even want to talk about it because it's so emotional. But Tech,
Oh.
what?
We
Yeah.
didn't know what you were getting at.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Like, sorry,
Yeah,
we didn't know what you were talking
Like,
about.
sorry, it needed to happen. I feel like it needed to happen to
Well, he's
progress
not
their
dead,
story.
it's fine.
He's not
Well,
dead.
and I still don't think he's dead,
No
but
one does.
It was still very
anyways.
sad.
it was still very sad. But I really like the episode where they were in the caves and he had the moment with
Oh, that cave.
Omega.
I thought you were
Yeah,
talking about the giant dinosaur robot cave.
Oh.
I'm like, never mind. So
No,
go
no,
ahead.
no, no.
Go
No,
ahead.
no. So I really enjoyed that moment. That was a really special moment for me when he's like I feel all of these things. I just feel them. I express it differently than you do. And they had that. It felt like it clicked with Omega. You know, like I don't know. I really loved that moment, and I should have seen his death, quote, death coming, because they spent so much time
Yeah,
developing him.
Drew and
her,
I both knew like
Yeah.
they're gonna kill him this season because they just
Yeah.
put so much effort into him than everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, it should have been very clear, but somehow I missed it until I knew about 5 or 10 minutes before it actually happened in the episode, but I still should have seen it coming long before then. I do really like the subplot that they're forming with Mount Tantus and the cloning and everything. Like I think it's very interesting, and I liked it. I mean, like I literally have nothing bad to say about the Bad Batch, especially towards the end of the season when things like really started kind of ramping up, and it felt like it was flowing into a more like elongated, cohesive story. Because like towards the beginning for me, it didn't feel as much like that, you know.
Well,
But
compared
then
to
towards
season 1, it was not really
Yeah.
connected at all.
Yeah.
With Drew and I, it was either the episode was amazing, out of this world, or it was
Yeah.
just not that great. Like it
Yeah.
had nothing to do with the story.
Especially the
Yeah.
speeder episode.
That race episode was
I
terrible.
I liked the race episode as a standalone thing, but when I watched it, I was like, why is this here? Like, this is a fine story. It's fun. It's enjoyable. But like,
Well-
why is this a part of this season?
And that's what,
What is
me and
it- what does it
Jeremiah were
contribute?
like this whole season. Like there's episodes where like it's cool, but let's get to the nitty gritty. Like let's keep this story.
The nitty gritty, to quote Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
But
Let's,
like,
just keep the story going, you know?
yeah. And I mean, like, I like seeing Gunji.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
Mhm.
Sweet, you know, like great. It's awesome. You know,
It
there
was
was
just,
nothing bad about it. It was just
I think,
it
like,
felt like it ramped up right at the end.
right.
Yeah.
Because we were saying they should have focused on the Mount Tanta stuff and Dr. Hemlock. Like, Dr. Hemlock,
Great.
I like him
character.
as a villain,
Yes.
but they didn't, like, he should have been the villain at the beginning. Like,
Yep.
they should have introduced him, like,
Yeah.
really early on.
Because the
They
main
should've-
antagonist they killed off like right away, and then we're just left with no one for like 4 episodes.
Yeah, so it's like
yeah.
they could have focused more on Mount Tantus and Hemlock and all that stuff. And I think it would have been a way better story. Because this
I
seemed like,
did.
like,
Go
what were
ahead.
they doing with all those, like, throwaway episodes? Like,
Yeah.
it just didn't add anything to the story for us.
I did really like the the discussion about the clone troopers' rights and like
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
what was happening.
The two politic episodes, like, those are the
Yeah.
best ones of the whole season.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I like that was really it's almost like if they had just like taken the fillers out and taken those time slots and done more to develop that subplot and then
Yeah.
the Mount Tantus thing, like it would have been
Right.
a freaking 100 out of a 10 for me. But like, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed those. There was some fluff, and then towards the end, it got really intense. But it was almost jarring to me how quickly it was like sitting in a car going from 0 to 60 in like less than 2 seconds. It was like, oh, the intense stuff
was like a
is
Tesla.
happening now. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I
Well,
loved it.
And my other issue too is those last 2 episodes are amazing. They're so
Yeah.
good, and they
Yep.
flow together. They're one episode,
Yeah.
right? They're just one long episode, which we could have just got one long episode. And I feel like marketing wise would actually produce better for a viewer. But my issue was like there were so many of those episodes that fans did drop off,
Yeah.
and then those last 2 episodes came out the same day as Mando season 1 or Mando season 3 episode 1 came out. So a lot of
Yeah.
those people are like, why would I watch this when I can watch Mando? So like people don't even like understand how great this show ended because of the timing of the placement on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you
Well,
would have took those
well, I don't
fluff
think-
episodes and combined them, I would have been okay with 2-3 weeks or 4 weeks even of no new Star Wars content. Like, give me a month
Sure.
off. That's fine.
I think the big balance for shows like The Bad Batch is like, do you want to go all in on more intensity and more of the adult, like the deeper adult themes, right?
Mhm.
And alienate a younger audience? Or do you want to go the opposite direction on the pendulum and alienate the adult audience because it's too much of a kid show? So I feel like they were trying to find a balance of like, this
Mm.
isn't fully an adult show. It's also not fully a kid show.
And then someone's head gets chopped off.
Right.
Like,
So, but they have to find the balance. That I feel like there had to be some of those throwaway episodes
Yeah.
just for the younger, because like the speeder thing, like that's like a kid show episode. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, it felt like the
It's easily contained.
R2D2 run Clone Wars episode.
Oh gosh.
Like,
I mean, but you're not wrong. So
let me ask you this:
Yeah.
what do you think of Crosshair's arc in season 2?
the funny thing, so I like it. It made me frustrated because he like finally comes around, and then he's
runs away.
strapped to a table. But I get it. I get like that's a good move for the long game because it gives him more time to act in season 3.
Mhm.
But I don't know. There's a part of me that like almost feels like season 2 could have happened without him in it and still been just as good.
Oh, I disagree.
I disagree so much.
No,
There's so many good episodes. The
like
best
the-
episodes was just him in it, and not the Bad Batch.
So I agree that a lot of the
I
stuff.
mean, I guess
would've-
aside from the politics episodes, but
so I agree that a lot of the stuff would have ended the same because there are 2 separate arcs
Yeah.
that are storylines that parallel. So you could do that.
Yeah.
But I think you needed the Crosshair episodes to show where the other arc was going to, because now the focus is on Mount Tantus. They don't know where Mount Tantus is. Now they're
yeah,
search
that's
for
true.
it.
That's a good point.
And-
That's a good point.
Assuming that Tech is still alive, he's going to be brought to Tantus. And,
Yeah.
in the politics arc, we have that like assassin clone that was repurposed.
Yeah.
And like that's what Crosshair and Tech are probably going to get turned into. And so like seeing those 2 storylines, like we know that in season 3 we're going to see Crosshair and Tech be assassin clones fighting against the Bad Batch. We're probably going to see that just because we
Sure.
saw those 2 storylines parallel to each other.
Yeah. I guess I said that because part of me didn't fully remember those episodes. But
The Cross or the
That Cody
the
and
Crosshair
him,
Cody.
Yeah.
Oh,
when they had
that
the
episode was
wall
so
of fallen soldiers, and then
yeah.
Cody defected, and then the snow episode
I liked the snow episode.
on set in Minnesota.
for real. Couple
That's so
miles
true.
away from.
That's so
Lost.
freaking true too. But yeah, I like that episode. I really like that he actually kills the officer at the end
Oh yeah,
So cool.
because like the dude, I wanted to punch him in the face the
Mhm.
entire
that was
episode.
something funny.
What?
So one of my friends from church, his name is Nolan, which was Officer Nolan or Lieutenant
Yeah.
Nolan, or whatever. So I was like,
Yeah.
I texted him. I was like, hey, because he watched Star Wars. I was like, hey, you are now part of Star Wars canon. And he's like, oh, sweet. I haven't seen the episode, but I'm looking forward to it. So then, like, next Sunday at church,
Yeah.
it's like, I'm sorry that I was such a, and he said, not family friendly word. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
who
yeah.
I was in Star Wars. But he's kind of, it was just funny. But
Yeah, I mean, he got what he deserved. I remember when
Yeah.
I was watching that with Micaiah, we were both like, good.
Do it. Do
Just like slow clapping after that happened
Mhm.
because he was many things that I probably am not gonna speak out loud, but yeah, I didn't like him at all. But yeah, I mean that I need to go back and rewatch this season because a lot of it was a blur for me. But yeah, I mean it upheld the quality and the storytelling for the most part that we are used to from the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch releases thus far. Like it didn't. It felt like a continuation of those stories and a continuation of the quality of those stories for me. Like at one point, even in the midst of like the more throwaway like filler episodes, I never once thought this is really bad. I never once thought like, you know, the quality
We needed
dipped.
your opinion on the podcast episode.
So yeah.
All right.
There was times me and Jeremiah were struggling.
We're like, I don't want to talk about this episode tonight.
Yeah.
Like, this
Wait,
is-
really?
There was-
Oh yeah.
the racing
speeder-
episode, there was a couple
ra-
other I can't remember, but they were just like that.
We're just like, oh, here we
With
go.
the robot dinosaur thing, like
Biggest letdown.
we were like, this is the most disappointing. Like,
You know, it's funny. I don't even remember that episode.
Exactly.
where they find that gem, like the Wanda
the
Sykes.
thing you're talking about, the thing from Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah,
That's what it
man, it looked
reminded me
like
of.
that,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that was a
And
That
I
was a throwaway.
tried to save it at the end. I was like, the last shot of the season, like the camera is looking at another cave. Like they're gonna come back. They're gonna like something's gonna come out.
I was like,
this-
making
I'm
this
like,
huge
this
thing.
episode has to mean something. And I was wrong. I tried.
yeah.
But
Yeah, it's funny because I literally hadn't remembered that until you said
It's
something.
just like
so.
those episodes. It's like, why? Like, why are we here? And maybe it is because we need to keep that younger audience. But I feel like another way to do it is maybe not cut off people's heads. Maybe just cut the violence down a little bit.
Well,
and
but
if you
it's
keep them.
also is
Because
it-
season
it's-
one,
it's themes though too. It's like themes and storytelling. It would be very easy for them to continue with like the deeper story beats throughout an entire season and stick to the intensity all season, kind of like Andor. But then it would go over a kid's head. You can't
but I
you
feel
can't
like season
story
one,
tell
they
the same
actually
way.
they did so well with season one that didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't
That's
feel
true.
like that though. It didn't feel
And-
choppy.
the one thing that we forgot to talk about though, the Zillow Beast is back, baby.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
How did you feel about them bringing the Zillow Beast? Because that was a story arc that Palpatine was like at the end, like, I have plans for this, ha ha ha, and he had a little smirk, like.
That was great. I mean, like I wasn't surprised at all because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we had a conversation at one point on the podcast that was like, you pretty much predicted, or was it was in your fan fiction or something? You predicted I don't remember.
the Zillow
We had a conversation about the Zillow Beast, and
I think it was when
you
the
called
trailer
it.
came out last summer.
maybe
I
you
think
called
I just
it though.
screenshotted like that's the Zillow Beast with his mouth open for like 2 frames. Like,
Yeah, because I remember when that when it popped up on the screen, I literally thought of you, Jeremiah. I was like, oh yeah, this is we called this at some point, and I didn't remember when, but I was like, yeah, this is Jeremiah was right. So
all right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Now for the next, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful. Mandalorian season 3. Andrew, what are your thoughts on?
Is this the last one?
No, then we got visions,
We got visions.
Oh
and then we got voicemails.
no, I know.
We got
I
a lot.
just forgot about Vision.
All right,
I know how Drew thought
Mandalorian.
about it. Yeah,
All right, vision.
I'm
That
trying
bad,
to think.
huh?
No. I'm trying to think about. I'm trying to think about how to communicate how I felt about it. Again, maybe the best way to say it is, it was really good. I love it for what it is, but it felt like a missed opportunity. I feel like
True.
that's my running theme tonight.
So I hear 2 things. So like, one, if you go back and think about season 1 and think about season 2, you can think about every single episode individually. You can remember those episodes individually, like what each one was.
That is actually
You go to season 3.
Scary true. Now that you're saying it,
I can't tell you the you have the Coruscant
Shoot.
episode. You have like the giant bird pterodactyl thing. I can't remember what happened before which episode.
You know what?
I
It's
can't
funny.
remember.
You can't remember
Yeah.
the Lizzo episode?
No, I remember that, but like I can't remember like where that happened in the season. I can't like. It's
the
all
second last
blurred
episode.
together, season 3, and so like the
Well-
takeaway is like there's fewer takeaways because you just remember
Yeah.
the bigger story arcs rather than the individual stories.
It's actually kind of scary that you say that because I feel understood, but I wasn't looking for that validation from you until you said it, and then I realized that you were like describing the way I felt while you were saying. It's like really weird the way that just happened. So Red Buff says Grogu needs to leave, and I completely
Okay.
agree.
Yeah,
So
he's
again,
that ball
going
and chain.
going back to Book of Boba Fett, they never should have reunited him. Like the whole of the first 2 freaking seasons was him getting back to the Jedi, and then they're like, nope, psych. He's back in the story, and it's like, no, like the whole point of Din's journey was to get Grogu back to Luke, and then he does, and then all of a sudden you got this whole wide open set of possibilities of the Darksaber and Bo-Katan and all of the struggles for the Darksaber and ruling Mandalore. It's like, nope, Grogu's back, and he's got a really cool ship. Like, I love the N1. N1 has always been one of my favorite starfighters anyways, and seeing like the hot rodded version is super cool. Zeb, heck yes, loved that. Freaking, I freaked the heck out. It actually got spoiled for me earlier in the day, but I freaked out when I saw him. Yeah, I don't know. So I didn't hate the Lizzo episode like a lot of people. Didn't hate it.
This is my hot take. Worst episode of all 3 seasons of Mandalorian, and one of the worst things in all of Star Wars.
Okay,
I
I
disagree.
agree with the first. I do not agree with the second.
I loved that episode. I thought it was fun. It was cool.
Like, yeah, I mean, it was like it felt jarring to me because of all the 3 cameos in that episode being condensed into one episode out of nowhere. It's just like, whoa, there are a lot of really big names. It would have been different if like the actors had been spread out across the entire season. Like if it feels like a Lizzo episode, and then like a Jack Black episode, and then a Christopher Lloyd episode, you know. But Christopher Lloyd, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
They
should have.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
It should have only been him in that episode and focused on him versus Mando. Like the story should have been focused on that rather than, we get 2 seconds of him at the beginning and then gotcha at the end, and then that's it. Like,
yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the battle droids. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
For the first time, like really seeing them in live action outside of like, because like they were in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, but it was like they didn't do as much as they did in the Clone Wars. So it's really cool to see them like really go and do some stuff.
I like Puzzler's comment. They for real just drew names out of a hat.
Yeah, it felt like that. It felt like that. I mean, it was interesting because like the other thing that I thought was very weird was like, so they start off the season where it's like, okay, Din's got to go. He's got to get baptized in the water again. So the first thing that they scrapped was Grogu leaving. It's like, okay, Grogu's back, whatever. Now we have the hope of like this epic pilgrimage to Mandalore. And it's like, nope. We got there in like 3. I don't remember if it was 2 or 3 episodes.
I think it was
like
second episode is when it happens.
Yeah. So I remember we sat down, Micaiah and I sat down to watch it. And I was like, already? Like we're just on Mandalore already? Oh, we're at the water already? Like I remember a few times during the episode, I was like, okay, well maybe they're gonna get to Mandalore and like it's gonna take them a while to get down. Nope, we're just already, like we're just there. And
he gets attacked by a giant robot spider with an eyeball. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was cool, but it's like what?
It looked like the villain from Bakugan. Remember those Legos?
No.
Bakugan?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The anime Bakugan?
Yeah, those Legos. Remember?
No. You're talking about Bionicle.
Bionicle.
Bakugan is an anime about little marbles that turn into monsters. Very different
Cool.
experience. But yeah, it did remind me, yeah, Bionicle.
That's what I meant.
So like, yeah, I mean, like it was cool, and it was cool to see Bo-Katan like whoop tail with the Darksaber, you know, and not it's not Din just like struggling to hold it the whole time, because that was kind of a letdown. But I understand why, but still, you know, it was cool to see someone like pick it up and like do something with it really flashy. But the Mythosaur thing, okay.
Oh, it's amazing.
I get that they have to pay. They're playing the long game with that. I get it. I understand that there's a point to that, and it not paying off in this season. I understand it, but it's like, really, you're gonna spin 2 episodes. We're already at Mandalore already, and then we see the Mythosaur, and then like we don't get it again. You know, I don't know.
We got it at the end.
Yeah, at the end,
Yeah,
another selfie shot.
yeah, that's
Dude,
true.
When we saw that, I was freaking out. I thought it
Yeah.
was so cool. So
Also,
amazing.
freaking, I guess Din is not his first name. You remember when?
No, we talked about that. So like, Din Grogu, rather than
I don't understand why.
Grogu
Yeah,
Jaren. So we were thinking it has to do with the whole apprenticeship thing, that the apprentice has to be recognized by who the master is, because you're just an apprentice. You're not allowed to have a name for yourself. So we were kind of going along those lines.
That's pretty good, actually.
It's either that or they're like, they always put their last name first. But there's cultures out there that
Korea does that. Yeah. And
even
Japan.
parts of China too.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, again, there wasn't anything. I don't remember an episode of that season that I watched and was like, that was a waste of time. Like, legitimately, I didn't feel that.
Yeah, me either.
But I think that I found myself wondering what we were doing many times. Like, where are we going? Why are we here instead of here? You know, like, I don't know. Like the whole Lizzo episode, like it was fun, but like it felt like a very elaborate way just to get them to go talk to Axe Wolves. Like, you know, like, and I get why, like they needed them to do something, but like then it's like the last 5 minutes of the episode, and then she does the Darksaber, and she gets it on like a weird loophole technicality.
Yeah, how do you feel about that loophole thing?
When he started talking, like I knew immediately where this was going, and I rolled my eyes. I was like, okay, this is just very convenient at this point.
I understand why people don't like that episode, and I get it. It is the speed racer episode of The Mandalorian season 3. I understand that, but for me, it's like I like those cameos. Like I appreciated it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah,
I thought it was
sure.
different.
Yeah.
Lizzo kind of threw me off a little bit, but I like her so much as like an artist that I can respect it, and I think it's cool. Jack Black's one of the most amazing people of all time. Like he doesn't miss ever. I mean, go watch Mario. It's amazing. He's so good.
Seen that.
He's so good.
I've heard it's
but
really
it's
good.
just like, so for me that doesn't throw away that episode. But I understand why people like Jeremiah like it was just dumb. Like they could have just went straight to him, had that thing, and then they could have done something else in the rest of the episode. Like,
I mean, I was really excited to see Lizzo in Star Wars because I really enjoy her as a person too. But like, I don't know, I think what it boils down to for me was the pacing.
Yeah,
it felt like they accomplished some of the things way too quickly. And then some
slowly.
of it, and then some of it was like eerily slow. You know, like the pirates were a cool addition. The dog fighting in the fighters was really great. Looked great, you know. But it just felt like it was very overly complicated when it didn't need to be the whole season. There was just so much going on, you know, that they could have shaved away some of it, stuck to a really consistent story, and it would have been a lot better in some ways.
What was your thoughts of the main pirate Did it throw you off a little bit when you first saw him?
The Pirate King, the
Little-
seaweed guy.
It was whatever. I mean, I thought he
Remind me
looked
of like
nice.
a Muppet character.
Well, yeah. I mean, I thought the effects, like, he looked great and the effects were nice, but I don't know.
So okay, here's the thing. So Jon Favreau, I think it was, I don't know if it was before the season came out or in the middle or something, but he made the comment that Mandalorian season 3 is the middle of the story.
Yeah, yeah.
Meaning,
Because there's supposed to be 5 seasons, right?
well,
Or
not
4 seasons in a movie.
well, you have the Ahsoka show, you have Skeleton Crew, you have the movie. We know there's a season 4. So when you look at any TV show or movie or something, the middle of the story is always the slow part. That's
yeah,
the most, like, it's what you forget about the most, because you remember what happened at the beginning, the conflict begins, and in the end you
Yeah.
get the conflict resolved. And the middle
Yep.
part is kind of like the waiting game, figuring things out. And so I try to see it as that part of the story where it's the middle of the big story with all the shows that's going to conclude
Sure.
with the Heir to the Empire movie.
sure.
Like, where we see it as a big story, it's going to just be the middle part of the story, which isn't
Yeah.
always the best.
I agree, and I think in hindsight, we're gonna look back and see it much more favorably than we do now.
Right.
Again, not bad in the slightest. Like,
Just had weird
there-
pacing for you.
yeah, it was just weird. It was like, okay, so IG-11 is back, but he's like a Gundam,
Yeah.
and or like a Megazord, whichever mech reference you want to put in there. Like, he's there. And then, like, Moff Gideon. Okay, so, like, the Moff Gideon
Oh, yeah,
thing,
we even talked about that part.
I was like, why? Like, I get it, but, like, it was so late in the season that, like, he finally shows up. And then the clone thing, it's revealed that he's cloning himself, but then that's gone. They hit the little button combination that explodes the tanks. Why is that in there? Just don't put it in the dang computer. That's what I'm trying to say. But whatever,
Fact.
don't put that button combination in. Because imagine, it's like,
There's always a red button that says "Don't push."
yeah, it's
Why?
like,
Why is there always
imagine
a red button that says
you're in
"Don't touch it"?
Photoshop, you're photoshopping something or in Canva or whatever, you accidentally hit the wrong command code, and all of a sudden your clones just blow up. Like, so the Praetorian Guards were really, really cool to see the early versions of those, but, like, also kind of a throwaway thing. Moff Gideon's armor, kind of, I don't know. It just
I
felt
thought it was
like,
cool. But also,
I thought
that's
it-
not
I thought it
really
was
Moff
super cool.
Gideon.
Do you think that was Moff Gideon, or you think that was a clone?
I don't even. The problem is
I think it was
don't
actually him, but
the problem is I don't care enough,
Mm.
and that's the problem. Because first 2 seasons, I cared a lot more about his character,
Mhm.
but, like, now it's just like, okay, well, you're just gonna throw him in the last 2 episodes.
so I agree.
Yeah,
But we were thinking about, all right, Moff Gideon was the villain for the first 3 seasons, and cause, like, we're talking about, okay, did he survive or did he die? Like,
yeah,
whatever, all that stuff. We were saying, okay, story wise, he has to die because now the big bad is Thrawn. He's the villain / antagonist, whatever word you prefer, because some people don't like to call him a villain.
anti-hero.
Whatever. Like,
Yeah,
so, like, I think he did die because he has to die because he's not the big bad leading the rise of the Empire. It's Thrawn. He's the true,
sure.
whatever. It's kind of like going back to the Chiss Ascendancy trilogy. You have General Yiv the Benevolent, whatever you ever say. Right?
Yes.
Like,
that's a
he
good
thought
reference.
he was a big hotshot leading everything, but no,
Yeah.
it was what's the Gris guy's name?
I'm blanking too.
The main Gris guy. Like, he was like he was above him. Like, he
Yeah.
threw him away because he's nothing. Like, just Jixtus.
Oh, yeah. There you go. There you go.
Jixtus.
Nice.
Now,
Nailed
but
it.
spoiler alert, he's dead too. So there's someone above him. Like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like paralleling, like, Thrawn. He was leading. Like, people thought they were big hotshots, but he's actually
Yeah.
the hotshot.
I guess like
I get
just
that.
put him like I'm fine with him dying.
He's not dead though.
Well, I'm fine with his story, but like I guess for me it would have been nicer to just like see him earlier,
Right.
like because it's like they get the reference like, oh, he never made it to the war tribunal, and they say it like 4 times to really drive the point. You know, it's like
Mhm.
in a few different episodes they say it. I'm like, okay, Moff Gideon is a thing. Like, when are we gonna see him? And then you see the Lambda shuttle, and there's Beskar and all these things, and it's like, okay, where's Moff Gideon? And then the last 2 episodes, he finally shows up. I'm like, okay, I think that's why it felt throwaway to me.
Right.
Mm.
I just wish I'd gotten more of him.
So
Cut-
my
or-
my point was
you know.
why Moth isn't dead, and I said this in an episode, was when they went back to that bar and looked at all the trophies, and they panned over all those helmets, and he was like, "Oh, Grogu's really admiring these trophies." Mando would have brought his helmet.
I don't know.
I think he would have brought that helmet and be like,
Yeah,
If-
it was
if
so
they
cool if he
really-
brought Moff Gideon's helmet. It's like, here, I got a trophy that you can put on your rack. Like,
if they
Yeah,
really
yeah.
wanted
that
to
would
like
way cool.
tell us that he was dead, it would have been that. Or and the other thing is, we know he's cloning, and Moff Gideon has a mustache.
Yeah,
and
that
it's one
mustache thing
dinner.
was stupid.
Okay.
People need to stop with that theory.
Just saying. So,
But maybe we could end with this.
but I also want to say though that I think another way they could bring Moff Gideon back is from behind the scenes, kind of not fighting Thrawn, but like messing up Thrawn's plans from behind.
Yeah, we were talking about that too. How Gideon
'Cause
can
he
come in
clearly
not to
does
help the
not-
rebellion, but to get Thrawn to lose. Kind of like
That would be interesting.
General Hux. I don't want you guys to win. I want Kylo to
Yeah.
lose, like something like
Yeah.
Some Yellowstone somehow Moff Gideon returned.
that.
Mhm.
But I was going to ask, what are your thoughts on the Darksaber is no more? It has been destroyed.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it because they gave us the Mythosaur, which means more than the Darksaber.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I feel a little bit like by the time we had gotten to season 3 that like the significance of the Darksaber had diminished
wasn't
so
really
much
there anymore.
anyways. Because like the way that they treated it in the Lizzo episode, where it's like, here's a technicality, plot
Well, and
twist, here it
it was
is, go,
like-
take it, Bo-Katan. You know,
If they really did worship it, then they would have saw that they didn't worship Din Djarin. Like,
yeah,
if they were really brought that into fruition, that those guys that were serving whatever his name is, the other Mandalorian,
Axe Wove.
Axe, like he probably like should have been like, well, he has the Darksaber, you know. But
yeah.
they only really did it after she beat him up. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it not being there because they obviously are shifting the focus towards the Mythosaur as being
Mhm.
the thing, the significant thing, and I think it means more as a Mandalorian for someone to have to go through the process of like taming one and being able to ride it and stuff. Like that's way cooler than and way more intense, really, than just like fighting for a sword and winning, in my opinion. But I think that it needed an end. I mean, it's sad to see it go because of how unique of a lightsaber it was, but also I think it needed to be gone for new things to progress.
We don't know. She could have grabbed that Kyber crystal.
Dude, so help me if season 4 drops and the Darksaber is back, somehow the Darksaber returns,
It's
I'm gonna be like, you have what?
In the Ahsoka chair, we see Hu Yang, and Ahsoka has to build a new saber. Hey, Bo-Katan, can I have that kyber crystal from you? Sure.
Okay, that's cool. But if it's just like, oh, we fixed the Darksaber and now the ruler of Mandalore still needs it, I'm like, okay, seriously? Like
in the Ahsoka series, there's a Bo-Katan episode where she rebuilds it, but no one
Yeah.
watched Ahsoka, so when they see season 4 Mandalorian,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
has
yeah,
it.
yeah,
What did I
yeah.
miss?
yeah.
also
Yeah,
why
I
would we
mean,
not
don't
wanna-
do that again because they've already backtracked on the Grogu story. They've already gotten to Mandalore way too fast. Don't give me the Darksaber again. Just
We're
don't.
used to them backtracking and fixing mistakes after
anyways.
fan reactions.
That's true.
They got rid of Grogu and they're like, oh shoot, how are we gonna make money on little
The
merchandise?
reason they brought Grogu back was so they can make money off the IG
Facts.
Grogu Gundam
Oh,
thing.
150%.
They're gonna have a black series of that. They're gonna make pops with that. They're gonna
And it'll be one of the premium ones that cost like
toy.
$60 or
It'll
something.
be a hot toy of him. And,
they're gonna make a Lego, a 2,000 piece Lego thing of that.
I wouldn't buy that.
If I buy it to you, would you put it together?
yes.
If I didn't have to spend money on it, sure.
Okay. All right, that was
Just
The
record it this time.
Mandalorian season 3.
Yep.
What we have left now, last thing, finally, we're on the home stretch.
Yep.
Visions Volume 2.
Yep.
So I asked you to rank the episodes. So we'll start from your bottom and let's do quick, couple minutes each.
Yeah.
Episodes. So what was your least
I
favorite?
saw my list. I want to pull my list. Wait.
What was your
So
least favorite
before I
episode?
dive in, it's worth noting that the vibe of this season was very, very different
Mm-hmm.
in a really good way
Mm.
for me. Like I missed the like Japanese anime style vibes, like being kind of the center of like I still love the Ronin. Like it's one of the coolest Star Wars things that I've ever seen. But I loved how much heart and how much like how heavy the story beats were for this season. Like it was
Mhm.
like this one made me way more emotional than the first one by a long shot.
Oh,
Right.
interesting.
Yeah. So, anyways, my least favorite, Screecher's Reach.
Oh, wow.
Are you kidding me?
So here's
Here's
what
the
I,
thing.
here's what I want to watch. Here's what I want to say. It was extremely
Wow.
difficult. It was extremely difficult to rank these. Extremely difficult.
That's Jeremiah's favorite episode of all Star Wars.
That's fine. So the reason why it's really this and I'm Your Mother at the bottom for me. Like
I'm
I
fine
don't
with
really.
that was my bottom one.
I Am Your Mother was like
How do you can put them so close together?
because I came away from that episode unsettled.
The chat, Andrew's no longer welcome on the
That's fine. I mean, someone has to have a controversial opinion about this stuff. So like between the three of us. So like that episode was very unsettling for me. Maybe it was the art style of the witch, and like, dude, like I was like, for some reason, like off put by how like intense and scary that was.
Mm.
Like I wasn't scared, but there was something about it that made me uneasy.
Miles was
And-
scared.
And then, that doesn't surprise me. And then at the end, when you realize what happened,
So
I'm like, yo,
sad.
this is really freaking dark. And I both love it and do not love it for that same reason. I think this is one of the most complex episodes of Visions. But there was something
But
about
how
that
can you
for
put
me.
it? That being said, how can you put that at the bottom of your
Well,
list?
it's because of this. It's because of the emotional themes that come in the other episodes for me personally.
Oh, okay.
There's some heavy hitters for me at the top, like heavy hitters for the way that they resonated with me. So like realistically, it's probably I Am Your Mother. Like now that I'm talking through it, I like this one more than I Am Your Mother, and I'm actually liking it more than Sith. So maybe
By the
I'll
end of this
change it.
episode, we're gonna have that up in your top 3 at least. So
It's definitely now that I'm thinking about it more, probably moving up. However,
No, I like just keep it on the butt. Just keep
it was I don't know why, but like I left that episode and I was like, that was just really freaking dark. Like the whole
It
thing.
was depressing.
Like it was just really depressing. Like she is manipulated into killing someone, and because like she gets the lightsaber, and I was like, oh, she's gonna realize that this is a human, and she's not gonna do anything because she's gonna see the human. Nope, done. And then it was a really good plot twist to have like the Sith, weird looking Sith lady, look like something from Samurai Jack, pulling the strings.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It was just like I got through with the episode. I was like, this is really depressing. She's leaving her friends. She killed the witch. She's leaving with the scary looking thing with the ship that looked like it was the creature from Nope. Like, I don't know.
That's just why I loved it so much, for all those reasons. Like, if you want to see me get teary-eyed, go watch my reaction video. Like, it was because it was so emotional, because of how she was betrayed, like, and deceived, like, and her leaving her friends, and like I'm guessing you didn't watch any of the behind the scenes of these episodes.
I haven't yet. No.
They elevate the episodes a lot when you watch them, but like,
Okay.
you talk about like the art style of like the witch in the dark, like
Yeah.
they did that by paintbrushes. Like that scene was all done with paintbrushes, whereas everything else was digital drawn.
That makes sense.
So like that's why I looked like it. But like the music was amazing. Like the storytelling was it was the show don't tell thing that I love.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the Village Bride of season 2 for me. I didn't do a 25-minute PowerPoint like I did before, but all right. That's what you said, but
so I guess I Am Your Mother would probably be my least favorite now. But
right. Okay, we'll go on to that one now. I Am Your Mother.
It was great, and it was very heartwarming, and I loved the Wallace and Gromit like style kind of look to it.
It was done by them.
Yeah, I figured. I didn't know for sure, but I figured it was similar. But like I just enjoyed how like heartwarming that one was.
I love that episode. It's my number
3. It's like the classic, like you really don't like your parents, and then you realize they have a lot to live or a lot to offer, and you come around and see. Like it was just really nice and heartwarming, and it just made me feel really good, especially after Screecher's Reach. So it's like I don't know.
I love that episode.
It was cute.
Miles loves that episode. I watch it.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And what's his name reprised his role in that?
Wedge.
As Wedge.
The voice actor was the actor, so.
Heck yeah.
All right.
So yeah. I mean, there's not much. I mean, all of these are really beautifully done and really like extremely well made. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It was nice.
Yeah. That was my bottom one, so like I get it.
Yeah.
Next on your list, number 7.
Sith.
That was my number 7.
That was a surprise because when I watched it, I'm like, oh, Andrew's gonna love this episode because of the theme of the balance of the light and the dark within one person.
Yeah. No. I mean, like that was when they hit on that, I was like, this is what I've been saying the whole time. Like I loved that, and I really liked the really unique lightsaber combat and stuff. There was something about the art style for me that was really difficult. It made it more difficult for me to grasp. I don't know why, but maybe it was because of some of the textures and some of the scenes were like over the entire thing. I don't know. It's beautiful. It's a great story, but like that one just didn't resonate with me as much as some of the other ones. It's 7 because of the combat and because of the cool lightsabers and stuff, and the themes of balance. But yeah, it didn't resonate with me in the same way the other ones did. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
it was my number 7. So.
All right, number 6.
Journey to the Dark Head. It's good. Solid episode. Lightsaber combat was phenomenal. The art style was phenomenal. Like, I really liked the Jedi's character arc in kind of coming into himself towards the end there. Also hit on the theme of balance pretty strongly. I liked it more than Sith because of the combat and because of the art style, but it was kind of one of those that was like, yeah, this is great, but yeah.
So, same studio that did Legend of Korra. If you
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I had this one second from the bottom because
me too, actually.
The story didn't make sense on why the girl went to the Jedi Council asking for permission to go when she's not a Jedi. And she didn't even want a Jedi to accompany her.
I did not ever realized that, and now it's much lower on my list. So yeah.
I just didn't get it. Like
There's
all that stuff.
things about it that were kind of weird.
And
So
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So number 5.
In the Stars. So
That's
this is where this is the point in the list where they really start like hitting me emotionally. Like I just thought the whole thing with like the paint and the relationships with the sisters and the mother was just like really beautiful to see. And I really, really loved that final moment where the sister is like, okay, so my younger sister is in danger, and now I'm going to finally give in to the thing that I've been trying to run from for most of my life because it killed my mother. And now we're going to do it together. I just really liked that story and how it progressed, and the art style was really cool and really beautiful.
So fun fact about this episode and IU's song, not stop motion. 100% CGI.
Yep. We actually, during IU's song, I paused it a few times, and Micaiah and I had conversations about, because like some of the texturing in IU's song is so good that it almost makes you think it was like a cloth doll, you know? But anyways, yeah. So In the Stars, loved it. It was really nice.
All right, number 4.
So I'm calling an audible here and switching number 3 and number 4 to me now.
Okay.
You're probably gonna hear Cheeto in the background. He's starting his towards the evening I need attention meows.
His prowl.
Where he just yells. He goes into the kitchen and yells and hopes one of us will come out there and mess with him. So I'm maybe not.
Tied for 3rd. What are these two?
So I would say The Spy Dancer and The Pit. The Pit to me was really like the story didn't progress the way that I thought. It was like, so we have the slaves, and then oh crap, they left them there. Like I didn't expect them to just leave them there. And then they left them. And then the kid gets out, and I'm like, okay, this is where the story is going to take a turn, and he's going to save the people, and they literally kill him. I remember we were watching that, and Micaiah was like, they are not about to throw him, and they throw him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a really like sad story. And there was something about that story to me, and I don't know how to describe it, that resonated really, really deeply with me when the people finally took a stand and like got the help that they needed after being stuck in this hole for so long. I don't know. It hit me pretty hard. I was like, maybe it was because I just wasn't expecting them to be treated that way in a Star Wars story.
But then you're like, yeah, it is Star Wars. Is this how the Empire would treat someone? Like...
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I think that it was also really powerful to see this big group of people band together to make a really lasting change in that like contained universe. Like they got the people to come out, and then the townspeople, instead of turning away, they realized what was happening and they helped. I don't know. That one was really hard to put my
opinions on this one.
Yeah, Drew and I had opposite opinions. Like we both had it low on our list.
It's my last one.
But like I was like, this is very like typical Empire. Like this is like, I could feel like this could actually happen in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like some fantastical thing like we see in some of these other ones. Like this could actually happen. This is what the Empire would actually do.
Yeah.
And it's the people rising up when they see an injustice, when they're made aware of an injustice, they rise up and they fight the Empire. And then, but like Drew was like,
I didn't like it because those people, the only reason why they're there is because of those slaves. And they're still reaping the benefit off of those slaves. They go and help them, but they're there because of them,
Well, so
and that
opens
bothered
up
me.
this opens up a very complicated moral debate of like when something is created on the back and on the suffering of someone else,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't know it at the time.
Mm.
Like what is the response when you find out? And we don't see that in the story.
Well,
So like
and
I
that's my
100%
thing.
get what you're saying.
For me, I wanted them to be like, all right, here's my clothes, here is my house. Like, I
Yeah.
It's
needed
only a
that.
20-minute thing. They can't do a
Right,
whole
right.
series.
I get
I
that.
think
I'm just saying that's where my perspective is from, and
Yeah.
I understand that because like we're all using iPhones and phones that are literally still built on slaves right now currently.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I understand that.
Except for
Jeremiah's
Jeremiah,
happy
he's
over
got his
there
old-
because he doesn't have
Yeah,
one.
Old
my
faithful.
Cobalt impression footprint
Is
is not as big as others.
Yes. A little
So, and I think that is illuminating for me as to why it resonated, because it's also worth noting, like this is the first time like we've really seen like accurate representations of people of color in this specific way, and I think that was one of the things that really hit me too.
On
'cause
that note,
Yeah,
so if the behind the scenes on this one, so this is a partnership between Lucasfilm and a Japanese anime studio.
the ones that did Attack on Titan.
The guy that wrote the story was from Lucasfilm, worked in like film and audio like records or something like that.
yeah.
He came up with this story. Who he happens to be black. He wrote the story, pitched it to his manager. His manager pitched it to his manager, and worked it all the way up to Kathleen Kennedy, and she said yes. And the studio is an all-black owned anime studio in Japan.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's the same studio that did Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
So that's where
really
that story
cool.
comes in.
Yeah.
That's cool. It was just really cool to see like, like black people and seeing the textured hair and stuff.
Mhm.
It didn't feel like more of a whitewash. Like here's the whitewashed representation of black people, but I think it was like that coupled with the struggle that they were going through, and then like I don't know why, but the kid's sacrifice like hit me pretty hard. And then that like the graffiti mural at the end, I was like, it was just beautiful. It was beautiful for me. So yeah, there was a lot about it that reminded me of themes and things that happen in the real world, and so that was another thing that drew me in. So anyways, so all that to say, The Pit, and then Spy Dancer, I loved. First of all, the art style was really, really cool. It had like a jankiness to it.
Drew hated it.
It had like a jankiness,
but it is my
to
number
it.
one though.
It was your number one?
Yeah. Because
of the behind the scenes
and behind the scenes on it.
Oh, interesting. So it had a jankiness to it that I loved in the art style. It was kind of messy in a weird way.
Yeah.
But I loved it, and I love the way that they revealed the character at the end. Because in this short story, all of a sudden at the very end, you find this thing out, and it leaves you with a story that feels so much longer and so much more expansive than what was contained in that short,
right?
Literally a short. And so it's like, what did the Empire do to this guy to make him forsake everything that he was? Did he do it willingly? Was it forced on him? If it was forced on him, why would he continue serving them? It's like all of these questions start hitting you at the end of this episode. And then you look back and you're like, it just makes everything else so much better.
Right.
And I love I love the reveal, because like I genuinely did not expect it until she started telling him on the rooftop. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is her son. Like, so I don't know. I thought it was beautiful.
I thought it was cool. The thing that I didn't really like about the art style was like that fat trooper,
stormtrooper,
that giant dude. I was like, it threw me off. I was like, what? What's that? Dude, I don't know. It threw me off. But the thing that I liked about it is that the story is loosely based off of World War II.
Right, 100% is World War II. Like,
yeah,
like literally, they had cabaret like dancers that had like Nazis in there, and they spy on the Nazis in Paris.
That makes a lot of sense.
And there was like,
because it was like a French studio, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and there was like a famous French dancer around that time that had those giant like clothes like the dancer had in this thing, like the big
Huh.
Yeah.
bed sheets
Yeah.
size thing. So it's like
Yeah.
literally Paris World War II just
That's cool.
put in.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the K2 droid.
Oh,
That was fun. Showed how BA those can be when they're
Yeah.
not cracking jokes. I love K2SO, but yeah,
Right.
so the spy dancer was really
All
good.
right. Number 2.
Bandits of Golok. First of all, this is a beautiful episode. Like, I love how much like Indian culture they
Right.
fused into this while still keeping it Star Wars. Like, I think that was one of the coolest things for me about this episode was how like just unashamedly, cultural they took this and made it in its styling. I love that. But it was so strange. I got so attached to the siblings in such a short amount of time that when the ending happened, I like felt the brothers' loss in a way that I wasn't expecting. And maybe that's weird, but like
No.
I got so attached because like the like throughout the story, obviously they're two really like cute characters, adorable characters, the girl especially, and you see him like going to such lengths to protect her the entire episode, and then at the very end he had like, instead of continuing to protect her as her brother, he has to give her up willingly. And there's something about that, it's just gut wrenching to me, because that's the way it has to be. There's no alternative for her safety. I also thought it was really cool that the older lady was a Jedi. I kind of called it, but the fight scene was super cool.
Partying
I don't know.
the Red Sea.
Huh?
The partying of the Red Sea.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had a question about this episode for you. So, we both watch Corridor Crew and their breakdowns.
Yep.
And occasionally do Bollywood stuff, which is always episodes I like watching because it's super fun.
Yeah.
But a long time, this is probably last summer or something, they were doing one and they made a comment. They're like, it's like they took like VFX from like 2008 but perfected it. You remember them saying that?
Yeah.
So this episode for me was like, they took Clone Wars season 5 or 6 animation and perfected it.
Yes. I remember thinking about a minute or two into the episode, this is very Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Like, it just felt like that,
But it's like they perfected. They didn't do season 7 Clone Wars quality.
Yes.
They did 5 or 6.
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
I was like when that clicked, I was like, Andrew's gonna remember this from Corridor Crew.
Yeah. That's a really good call out. That's really good. So yeah, I mean, I think the ending it made the rest of that episode more for me than maybe someone else.
Right.
But like,
the flute got to me when it floated out of the water.
Yes. But it was just like the whole, like, you don't see their father. You don't get much more about their family. But like the whole episode, her brother is like pushing her to this one spot, and he's taking care of her. He's like, we got to get here. And he knows. And I think that was the other realization that hit me, is like, he knew the entire time what was happening. He didn't tell her. And there's a moment where she like turns around and like you can see on her face, like everything is just hitting her at once. I don't know, dude. It makes me emotional. So I loved that episode.
All right. Well, then that leaves your number 1, which by process of elimination, I know what it is. Go ahead, say it.
I was Song. Dude, it was just beautiful in every way. The animation was absolutely gorgeous. I think part of the reason is because she was so adorable. But like, the animation style was insane. It was beautiful. The music was incredible. Like,
It was
when
made in a barn.
what?
They
Literally.
literally made it in
Animation
a barn
studios in a barn in South Africa.
in South Africa.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
But I like the I got teary eyed when she was doing her song. She was singing, and it like purified all the crystals.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I just got done with that one, and I felt really happy and hopeful. And there wasn't a single part of the episode that wasn't just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
To me, like I remember watching that episode. And I finished the episode and immediately went, this is going to be my number one when we talk about it on the podcast.
Cool.
It was an immediate reaction for me. Like, and it's interesting because like it doesn't have some of the same like heavier themes, but there was something about her character that I just wanted her to succeed, and I wanted her to be able to like come into herself. And then she had this beautiful thing inside her the whole time. And then of course, like the music was just it was so good. Some of the best like little motif work that I've heard in a while. And then of course the art style was just super cool. Like that was the one.
That one of was it the voice actor or the artist was a singer?
That's sick.
The writer was one of the writers was the singer, I think it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was the singer of Ayu. So
yeah. And
cool
I think it was cool that was the one for me that really made me second guess if it was actually stop motion or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
well, and a lot of the themes of like the art and stuff were literally pictures and stuff of South Africa.
Yeah, the environment was
pretty
based
much
off
South
of
Africa.
a lot of environmental, like the plantation, like the plant, the floral, whatever word I'm thinking of, vegetation. That's the word, was like based off of South African
plants that they're using and stuff, and then also like the mountain with the water behind it. That was like all part of where they were in South Africa.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Pretty cool.
There you go.
That is catching up with Andrew.
I was gonna say, do you want to talk about the new stuff? I know you mentioned that, like one of those things if we have time, but we've been going for a long time.
Well, in the future we'll talk about it. But that being said, so we had a Q&A from last episode when we did the last 3 episodes of Visions. And so we asked the question, or we talked about how season 3 of Visions, what are we going to get, blah, blah, blah. So I asked the question, do you think Pixar would ever do a Star Wars short?
Oh.
And so we were talking about that.
Okay.
And we were like, what they needed to do for an episode, Toy Story toys fighting Star Wars toys. Like, that has to be what they do. Get Woody, Buzz, all of them, and they're fighting Black Series, they're fighting Lego people, they're fighting Pops, like all this like Star Wars merch. They just fight each other. Like, we were thinking that. So the question was, if Pixar made a Toy Story characters versus Star Wars toys versus as a Visions episodes, who would fight? So we only got 4 answers, but we got like Aaron Noob 17 says Buzz Lightyear versus Jango Fett. R Green 571 says Lotso versus Palpatine, since they both are disguised as good leaders but are actually evil. Lotso would win because of a little known fact that the fabric he is made of is immune to Force lightning. I don't know about that. Jonathan says, I'd like to see a cowboy versus cowboy with Woody versus Cad Bane.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Oh, that would be sick.
Maybe Boba versus Buzz. It was in my house where we would be swarms of Lego clone troopers attacking, supported by a few Black Series. And then Elias says the 90s prequel Legos versus the entire Toy Story cast, Legos would win. So
the 90s, that is a deep cut.
And I don't think he was alive back then, so that's even deeper that he would know that. So
I remember that original pod racing set and seeing that thing and think it was so cool. And now you look back on it and I was like, this looks like trash. But, you know, we've come a long way in the world of Legos.
But do you think Pixar would ever They're owned by Disney. Do you think Pixar would ever do a 20-minute short? Because they do shorts. They do shorts all the time.
Yeah.
Do you think they would ever do a Star Wars Visions episode?
It's not as much. Okay. So you know when you have like maybe you have a team of all-stars or something, and then one of them is like, you know what, I'm going to give up my spot to let this person who doesn't have the same experience or whatever go. You know, like you make way for the little people, you know, or like you forgo going to Starbucks because there's a local coffee shop that like Wesley Andrews that's way better anyways, and then you know, so it's like I feel like Pixar, I feel like Disney wouldn't probably let them do it because they would rather highlight other studios.
Right.
That's true.
However, Studio Ghibli needs to do one.
They did do a short. You didn't see that?
The Grogu.
The Grogu Dust Bunny thing?
No.
Yeah,
You
don't
didn't see
watch
that?
it.
No, but like I want a real.
They did a Grogu
Don't give me-
short.
It was
Don't give me,
literally a
like-
2-minute 2D Grogu chasing around a dust bunny.
Okay, well, give me something real. Give me something good. You know, like.
Yeah,
But,
that was
yeah.
super disappointing.
But I don't know. I mean, I feel like Disney probably wouldn't want them to do one because they're too big of a deal. I don't know.
I still want to see the Toy Story versus Star Wars toys.
I think it'd be cool. It's like all of a sudden you're like Andy's playing with these, and his mom comes in with like half Millennium Falcon in a bucket, and then I got these at a garage sale, and then he starts playing with them.
Yeah,
and then
I mean,
he
that would
walks
be
out
really
the
cool.
room, and they all come alive and start fighting each other. It'd be so
Yeah.
cool.
even
even if it's not Visions and it's just like a Toy Story short,
Yeah,
I'm down.
I feel like it wouldn't fit as Visions,
no.
but as just a normal short, I would love that. Yeah.
to see a Thrawn Black Series come out and start commanding what to do. That was so cool.
I'm always down for that.
All right, all caught up. In another year and a half, we'll talk about this stuff again from Andrew, but all the other shows. But
Yeah.
that being said, let's transition over to voicemail time.
It's voicemail time.
All right. So we're going to go really quick with these. We got some email ones, but we also have some audio voicemails too. So let's take some questions from Retta via email. Hey, Empire Radio, I still can't get voicemails to work, so I'm sending an email with 2 questions instead. First question, would you rather fly an X-Wing or a TIE Fighter? Quick.
X-Wing.
X-Wing.
X-Wing
I don't
also.
want to die.
Now, if it was Kylo's TIE Silencer, a little bit.
X-Wing has shield generators and hyperdrives.
And
And
that
his
thing
TIE
wasn't
Fighter
that
doesn't?
silent.
Well,
his
I mean,
silencer doesn't? I don't know. I think
We don't
Kylo
know
Ren's
that.
ship would have all that stuff.
maybe.
But yes, X-Wing. If you could pick any planet/ship and any job in Star Wars universe, what would you choose? So
That's so easy.
I don't know. It's a little confusing, but if you had a
No,
planet,
I know where Drew's going.
he would be Naboo, or not Naboo, sorry, Tatooine, Slave One, working at a
Bounty
cantina.
Hunter.
Oh, Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cantina is a good second, but
Yeah.
I'll just become Boba Fett essentially.
All right, Andrew.
Drew Buffett.
Drew Buffett.
Drew Buffett. Drew Buffett. Oh man, that's a really good question.
You'd be part of the band in Jabba's palace.
I would say I like Coruscant. Ship. N1 Starfighter because I love those. And like Din Djarin's N1 though, hot rodded. And then what would I do for my job? Oh gosh, I would just be a musician.
Make
or something.
hollows of guitar.
Yeah, I would be on the Star Wars equivalent of YouTube or something. I don't know, the HoloNet.
All right, cool.
Jeremiah.
I would probably be on Naboo. That's nice, but or Hoth because I like the cold. Because I'm over some Minnesota summer so far is terrible. This is the hottest it's ever been this early.
You might be the first person that I've ever heard from Minnesota that has said, you know what, I wish winter was back.
I've always said that. I've
He's
said
always
that.
No.
on
But
podcasts.
you're right. But you're like the only person
Dude,
that
I-
I've
But
ever heard.
It still shocks Andrew every time.
It's so it's like 90s and it's first week of June. Like it's
Bro,
I don't want to
last
hear
year.
it. I work
LA, the
in
weather
a
is
warehouse
perfect.
with no AC.
No, I've
and
lived in
spring.
LA during this time of year, and it wasn't actually that bad back then when I was there 10 years or.
It gets
11
hot, but it
years
doesn't
ago.
get Minnesota or North Carolina hot.
But you haven't started June gloom yet though. So
Oh no, we're in May gloom. Trust me, it's already settled in.
well, June gloom is a thing. So
Yeah.
I heard
but
it was pretty gloomy.
ship, I would probably go with. I don't know. The Ghost is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And
Job.
I
Ghost
just-
reminds me of like a souped up minivan that secretly has a
Mhm.
bunch of gadgets.
Yep.
Because Hera also reminds me of the mom of the Ghost crew too. So she's like shuttling them around, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's a band, literally. It's like a high school band, and their
Oh,
mom
yeah.
drives them around.
Yeah. Okay.
I was like, where are you going with this?
Yeah.
And what would I do in a job? I don't know. If I had that ship and worked and lived on Naboo, I don't know.
You would open up a branch of your butcher
No, I'm
on
that's-
the
That's not. I open up like a pizza joint. How about that? I'll introduce pizza in the Star Wars
Yes.
universe.
Your deep dish pizza.
With parts
you-
of. I'm not gonna say it. Never mind. Just keep going.
All right,
He would sell pizza and melons.
Called Jar Jar.
cantaloupe.
Yeah. The galaxy's first cantaloupe pizza.
All right. Thank you, Retta, for those questions. Hopefully someday voicemails will work via your devices. But next up, two from Elias. Who would win in a dogfight? Hera and Anakin versus Han and Luke. Hera is in the Ghost. Anakin is in his Revenge of the Sith fighter. Han is in the Falcon. Luke is in his X-wing.
Ooh,
He
that's a
says,
good one.
I think Hera and Anakin would win because I think Hera is a better pilot than Han. Don't you dare say that's a hot take, Drew.
I was just about to say that's a hot take.
I
I don't know about that.
I would go with Hera and Anakin
Yeah.
because Hera
Yeah.
I think Hera is the best non-force sensitive pilot in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Anakin has
Over Poe? Over Poe?
Okay.
she would fly circles around.
She
Poe.
top Poe.
She probably top Poe on Yavin.
I was just making
I
sure.
thought that was a canon thing that she did. touch Poe.
Probably she tied everybody because she's the best pilot in the.
Except for Han.
Well,
No.
it's also no. Also,
And-
the
but
Ghost
any-
is smaller than the Falcon and more maneuverable too.
That's
That's true.
So
and
then also
Anakin is way better than Luke. That's
Anakin has more like combat experience and training.
Yeah.
Luke
If
just,
Anakin was with Han and Luke was with Hera, it might be a little bit different conversation, I think.
that might be more a little even, but yeah,
Yeah.
Han is Han, like Luke
It's
said.
amazing. What?
But yeah, who would you guys go with?
Same.
Same?
Hera and Anakin. Yeah.
I would say the same because if Anakin and Luke were swapped, I would say probably different.
Okay, cool.
But that is a hot take. I stand by that.
Next question from Elias: if you could have any skill matrix style download and skill in your brain, what would you choose? I would download how to
Ooh.
play the piano. So
Hey.
a skill matrix style. What am I supposed to understand it as?
So have you seen The Matrix?
Yes.
Okay. So
Once,
you know how
long time ago.
You know how they like stick the thing in and he's like and he's like,
You can-
oh, I know kung fu. You know, it's like
Okay.
so basically if they just put a USB stick in your head,
Okay.
you can
What is
download
something
any
you want to
skill.
learn and know perfect?
So we had a similar question to this a few months ago from someone. It was like, would you rather know how to play every single instrument in the world?
Oh, yeah.
or
I
what
think I
was-
was on for that. Or maybe I wasn't.
I don't think you
I
were.
don't remember.
But then the other one was like, was it like know every sport or
Language.
something?
No.
Language.
I was on for
Langu-
that.
Were you on for that one?
It seems really familiar. It was
Language. That's what it was.
yeah.
And I chose music because I think you can make it was more marketable, make more money.
Well, it also transcends languages too. So,
And I chose languages.
But anyway, any skill matrix style download in your brain, what would you choose? He said piano. What would you guys choose?
any skill?
yeah.
Anything.
Oh man.
Anything can be a skill. So if your skill
Yeah.
is balancing a pen on your nose, like that's really hard to do.
It's
I
language a
would
skill?
say
Huh?
Is language a skill?
Yeah, like
I'm
learn
gonna
every
cheat
language.
the system.
Oh, here
Yeah,
we go.
here we go.
I'm gonna cheat the system. I would download the skill to learn new things.
Okay. Not a skill.
That's
No,
like
no.
a genie. Oh, you got 3 wishes. Oh, I want wish to have more wishes. Like
Because like so like for
No.
example like I would love to be better at guitar. I would love
Hey,
to.
Mister, I was on TV.
yeah, what happened? I
I wasn't
wanna-
on TV for playing the guitar.
I want to know because I can't click the link on desktop, so I had never.
So long story short, I did a reaction video to a K-pop artist, and they had the artist on the morning news in Korea as like an interview of like talking about the recent release, and like they did a section on the fan responses, and there were a bunch of reaction videos clips, but like mine, it wasn't in a montage where there's like 4 people. It was me front and center. And they like
cool.
literally played part of my video on the news in Korea. So
Now, did you have in your videos? Do you have your logo at all times?
no, but they did.
That's why.
They credited me.
Okay,
Oh,
Yeah,
that's-
they credited me. Like they had my YouTube handle on the.
that's
thing.
good
So,
because one of the things I learned was like make sure you have your logo or name or something in at all times, so that if someone like that happens, people can find you. If they
Yeah.
decide to.
so it was just surreal to be on the morning, like the national morning
that's very
news
cool.
in Korea with one of my favorite in a segment from my favorite.
know
one of my
Steph's-
favorite groups.
Sisters in Korea. You know that, right?
Mm-mm.
Why would
That's
he
cool.
know
Yeah,
that?
she's- I thought. Well,
He hasn't been around for a year and a half.
he also went to
Yeah, it's-
school with this person, so maybe I don't
Oh.
know if they follow
But,
each other.
Anyway, skill matrix. You said
Skills. Okay.
the ability to
I get-
learn.
No. I get it. That's a cop out.
Yeah,
I get it's a cop out. So I would say, I'll make it more specific. I would want the ability to learn languages very easily,
Okay.
so that I could learn more than one.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. I want Andrew's skill.
I would.
What would you?
I wouldn't do that.
What would you do?
I would probably something with music or like filmmaking or animation or something like. It'd be cool to be a filmmaker, a storyteller, do those cool things.
You can do this now.
But I suck at it. That's why I would want to.
You have to work. You just work. on
Okay,
it.
but I would want to have a proficient skill like the skill matrix download,
Yeah.
where I would just instantly.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
the whole
that's
point of the
true.
But
question.
I feel like
I would love to see you as a composer.
what they said
That's
too,
what I
though.
wanted to do originally.
I know. That's why I said it.
but I
like,
don't have any musical skill, and I can't create melodies in my head. And I took one 45-minute music theory class in high school, and I'm like, I don't want to write music. I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah, music theory will do that to you.
But they also did a cop out by knowing piano. If you know piano that well, like perfectly, you pretty much know every instrument after that.
That's
Every
not.
Theoretically, you're
Yeah.
not wrong.
string instrument.
Practically, though, is
Well,
very far from the truth.
Sure, but if you know enough about it, you can dabble.
It is true that having a really good knowledge of one instrument makes learning other ones significantly easier. But
Right.
yeah,
But not percussion. Doesn't
Nope.
really help with
very
much of
different
anything
experience
else.
there.
All right. Cool. So language,
good question.
and filmmaking.
Yeah.
For me. All right. Cool. Cool.
right.
All right. Those are the last, I believe, of the emails of questions. So let's get to some audio voicemails. So first one up is from a first-time sender,
Hey, yo.
but a long-time Discord member and Twitch chat member,
Sick.
Red Buff. So let's take a
Hey.
listen from Red Buff.
Hey Empire Radio, it's Red Buff from the Discord. I have my first ever voicemail. Burr, burr, burr. My question for you is, what is your favorite TV network? So that's Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, all that jazz. Mine would probably be Disney Channel or, of course, ESPN as I'm watching the college baseball tournaments. Andrew, it's glad that you're back once a month. Wish it was more, but you guys are doing great. Thanks.
I should turn that down a little bit more before I
Also-
push play. Yep.
Yeah, I definitely dropped my headphone volume a little bit during that. So, but it's all good. No harm, no
But
foul.
yes, favorite
That's a great question.
network. That's a weird, like, random question, but
That
that's what we
takes me
like.
back. That takes me back to
I was gonna say, like, when I was a
finding the
kid.
perfect channel to watch
So-
during like middle school and high school.
Like, literally right now, the only show that I watch that's on TV is Survivor. Like, that's the only show that I watch. I
But
know,
Jeremiah's
laugh
been
it
a-
up, laugh it
Jeremiah's
up.
been a
Purple,
guy.
No. I'm not laughing at you because you watch Survivor. I'm laughing because that is like a
Still
very
going on.
Jeremiah thing. Like you said that. I don't know why. It just felt very on brand for me.
What do you mean?
I don't know. But when
I-
you said
like-
it clicked.
Like my inflection, or like, what do you mean, like, very Jeremiah? Like,
I don't know. I just feel like you would enjoy like something like that.
right? I've watched all 44 seasons, so because I do 2 a year, and it's been on for 22
Are you,
years.
you're being serious?
Yeah.
That's honestly pretty incredible. Good for
I
you.
remember.
That's dedication right there.
Yeah. So that's the
I'm
only
pretty
thing
sure
I
I
watched.
remember watching like a couple seasons at your house. Like our
I-
parents watched it.
I
when-
don't remember that.
Really? I remember that. Because our parents used to talk
Jeremiah
about
said
it.
that period of time was one of the Mandalorian season 3 episodes that ran together.
But so, like, currently that's all I would watch. But, like, obviously I watch like Netflix, Disney Plus, all that stuff. So those
Yeah.
don't really count. But back when I was a kid, I always watched like Disney Channel, History Channel. I'd watch
Yeah,
like
History Channel before it got weird.
yeah, like, this is where there's aliens in the Bible, like all those weird like things.
History Channel got freaking weird
But
really fast.
well, unless you watch like Pawn Stars, then like you can watch that all day long and it's fun.
Yeah.
But like Cartoon Network,
Cartoon Network has
dabbled
two
with
seasons.
MTV, like when they stopped doing music and it was just like Cribs and like Pimp My Ride and stuff like that.
You Pimp My Ride was so good back in the day.
And so fake.
I
I wa-
remember.
I watched a YouTube video about that, and
Oh, yeah?
it was honestly a really bad experience for some of the people.
No, I remember the like a few years ago, one of the vans that they pimped out was on like Facebook Market.
Yeah.
And people were selling it, and like the whole back half was falling off because it was
Well,
so
like
well.
some of the
so badly
some of the
put together.
cars, the stuff that you see in the final product, they would take some of the stuff out.
Oh, they
like-
wouldn't even give them to the
Yeah,
people.
and then like so much of the reactions were like super scripted, and like some of the vehicles weren't even weren't even owned by people, and it was like,
I-
dude, it was a hot mess.
I remember, I still remember how apparently this guy had his car. It was the axle was separated, so it wasn't welded together, but he put gum to hold it together, allegedly. And so then they had to buy him a
There's
new
lit-
car, and
there's
they
literally
bought a
no
new
way.
car and pimped it out. I was
Yeah.
like, that's so dramatic. Now,
So
All right. So yeah, those are my
probably ESPN is the only network I watch like to this day.
Cartoon Network, baby.
You watch to this day.
Not to this day. No,
Oh
I don't
no,
watch
Cartoon
TV.
Network as a kid was definitely the one.
My favorite network, I don't know if I'd watch it today, but I will say that was the one that I watched the most growing up, especially with
too.
Toonami.
Tsunami coming
started
home and
playing-
watching Dragon Ball Z right away. As soon as you get
Yeah,
off the
Samurai
bus.
Jack came on at 10 p.m. on Friday nights.
Mhm.
I remember it was a big deal to stay up for that when I was a kid. But like some of my favorite cartoons growing up, like
Clone
Foster's
Wars.
Home, yeah, Clone Wars, Foster's Home, Chowder, The Misadventures of Flapjack,
These
Samurai
names.
Jack.
Honestly,
They had some good ones.
Fox.
Some heavy hitters.
in the morning.
You're talking about the Fox box, the Saturday morning
yes,
deal.
Saturday morning
Yeah.
cartoons.
Sonic Heroes.
Yes.
The Kirby Show.
Yep.
The
what was the
Beast
other-
Wars.
Beast
the second
Wars.
the second Beast Wars show came on there. Man, it takes me back.
I remember watching that. All the
I don't know
time.
if I've said this on the podcast.
Hey, Teen Titans. Yeah, there you go.
But
Rebel.
like one of my funniest memories from watching Cartoon Network was I was watching Dexter's Lab,
Yo,
and
my favorite Hanna-Barbera original show.
my mom walked in and saw me watching it, and she thought it was South Park.
Oh,
And she started yelling, "What are you watching this show for?" I'm like, and I was like, it clicked, like, "No, Mom, it's not South Park. It's Dexter's Lab." Blah blah blah. Like, I just remember that, and it was the funniest thing. All right, my mom probably doesn't even remember that, but I remember that. Cartoon Network.
she let you keep watching it? Did she believe you, or did she think it was
Maybe, I don't know. I can't remember. All right.
That's a good question.
Cool. All right, thanks, Red Buff. Hope to hear from you again in the future via voicemail, because he
Yes,
is one of
please.
our biggest active users in the Discord. So if you want to get to know Red
MVP.
Buff, he's there.
Yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Batman Beyond. That was on.
That was on WB,
That was on WB. Was also I was switched between both those channels,
but like that was a good man.
so good.
I want Batman Beyond movie. Let's get it.
Facts.
Please give me
Facts.
dark and gritty Batman. Anyways, Jeremiah, please.
All right. We have 2 voicemails from our good friend Addie. And this first one is for Andrew. So let's take a listen.
Okay.
Hi, Andrew. Well, Empire Radio, but this message is for Andrew. My name is Addie, and I've been an Empire Radio listener for a year and a half. I just wanted to take a quick moment to introduce myself. I am a teenager from the United States. I am a big Star Wars nerd, if you don't. Well, of course you know that, but my favorite Star Wars show is Star Wars The Bad Batch. It has been a big part of my life. My favorite character is Omega, definitely. You just ask anyone. Yeah, my love for her and the whole Bad Batch is large. I am a Taekwondoist. That means I do Taekwondo, the martial arts. I love to sing and fan fiction. I actually have my own podcast as well, and I'm really good friends with Lucy, and we do collabs all the time. Anyway, I wish I had more time to introduce myself, but I'm running out of time. Hope you have an awesome day, and may the force be with you. Bye!
All right, cool. So that's Addie. She's one of the goats, one of our big.
Addie sounds so cool.
She is. She does Taekwondo and
Yeah, like
Black belt.
No, I don't know if she's black belt yet, but
so.
She trains though.
Addie said
She's a
she
teacher.
sings, so the music elements there. Taekwondo, I also did. I don't know if we might have said that. So
Yeah,
if you've
she-
maybe if you've listened to old episodes, but 9 years of karate, got my black belt, did that whole thing. Huge Star Wars
Reflex,
fan.
but okay.
Yeah, I mean you got all the coolness points there among those 3 things. So
Facts.
that's amazing.
all right.
But it is a pleasure to meet you finally on the podcast. So
Yeah.
and you're super cool.
All right. Well, that's the first one from Addie. Let's listen to a second one from Addie.
Hey, Empire Radio, it's Addie back at you with another voicemail. I'm here with an update from the ICCC con in Nashville
Oh.
that
My
I went over. I went to last weekend. Basically, it was pretty good. It was my first con, so I don't really know what to say. I got to meet Ian McDermott and the whole Rebels crew. It was awesome. Everyone was so nice. I got to take a lot of pictures with a lot of cosplayers, and I got some good collector's things, especially a few things I was looking for, aka the Black Series Lola collectible figure thingy, and then the Omega Black Series figure. But yeah, it was overall great con. Anyway, I'm running out of time. Hope you guys have an awesome week, and may the force be with you. Bye.
All right.
I
Cool.
know,
Cool.
that was
Man, that was one of my favorite. It was
I
such a good trip.
I forgot that she said she was going
Yeah.
because I knew she was going, and I just forgot about it. I thought that was like 2 months ago. But that's cool that
No,
you
it
went
was
first con. Definitely
2 weekends ago.
something like that. But Eddie, post some pictures in the
ICCC
Discord.
Yeah, ICCC is an interesting first con because of how like toy focused it is. It's like it's supposed to be like a toy thing, but it's also like heavily Star Wars. Like even most
It's
of the
the Star
toys, like
Wars thing.
there was some other stuff that we saw there, but really it was Star Wars toys.
I'm curious on how it was this year because it like tripled the size of it from when we went.
Dude, that is still one of my favorite memories. Like hanging with you and Tanner, eating Hattie B's. Like
Twice,
yo,
times
I
already?
still
don't
to this
remember.
day, I compare all the hot chicken I have now because there are a few places in California. Always compare it to Hattie B's, and not a single one has come close yet.
Had to be slabs. It was
Yo,
so
and then
good.
me and Tanner drove out and saw that freaking cult church that was in the documentary that we watched. Like,
What? I didn't hear about this one.
What?
yeah. So you know, Gwyneth Shamblin, Gwen Shamblin. So there's a documentary series on, was it HBO or Netflix? I don't remember.
HBO.
Called The Way Down, and it's like this cult church that they focus really heavily on the outward, like people's outward appearances and like losing weight. Dude,
It's like
it's
in the
freaking
Bible
weird.
to starve yourself, essentially.
Yeah, it's really freaking weird, and it's actually a really tragic story too because of how it ends. But we had seen part one, and
we
then while
decided
we were
to watch
in,
this documentary.
no,
while
listen,
we were
we're in the
Nashville.
Airbnb, and we were like, oh, part two came out, and we had all seen part one. We was like, yo, let's watch part two, and then we realized that the church is like 20 minutes outside of Nashville. And so Drew stayed at the convention, and Tanner and I we were going to go to the Guitar Center in Nashville, and we went to the Guitar Center. We played around and stuff, and then we got out, and Drew was still at the con, and I was like, bro, do you want to go drive by this church? Because they have like armed guards
Straight
at the
up.
gate. Like they don't let you in. There are like literally men with guns and trucks and stuff. And I was like, yo, should we just go drive by? And Tanner was like, bro, we just watched this documentary. Let's do it. So we drove by, and it's like way far off the road. And the second you start down this long dirt road, there's no trees. It's a big field. You can see it from the road, and they are watching all of the cars.
It's like when you get close to Area 51.
Yeah. It had a very similar energy for sure. So like, anyway, so yeah, we went and saw that.
Why did I hear about this before? I guess.
Well, and we called Drew. We were like, yo, dude, we're going
You
to see
sent
the
me a
cult church.
picture. Like I was in the middle of this panel with like all my favorite.
Yo, and
collecting
I was the one who
YouTubers,
I
and
took the picture.
they're sending
I'm
me
driving
pictures of this church.
What the heck?
It was. I
Well,
was like, what are we doing?
It was because we had watched the documentary, and then Tanner and I, like, we had time to kill, and so we called Drew, and I was like, yo, you want to go? And he's like, no, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna do the thing. I was like, okay, we can go see the cult church. And yeah,
so you can't mourn in that church either, which is one of the big.
it's kind of strange.
What was the
Yeah, like
documentary called?
The Way Down.
The Way Down.
But it's
Sounds
not
like an
the
HBO
way
thing.
WAY. Yeah, I think it is. But it's
It is.
WEIGH, like weigh, like you weigh yourself. The Way Down.
So what you should have done was get some hot chicken and eat it like at the end of the road. And this like
I didn't want to get shot.
I didn't want them to go missing. I would never
all
have a
right,
ride
all
from.
right. This
from
is
But Hattie
ICCC.
B's was
less-
amazing.
less family friendly than we would. But all right,
Anyways,
all right, cool, Eddie. Post the pictures in the Discord. You haven't been in the Discord for a while. Missed.
Yeah,
seeing
let
you
us
there.
know because from the view, like have all the YouTubers and stuff that went to it when we went, only one of them went, and
Oh, really?
people said it was fun, but it didn't have. They're saying that it didn't have the same like family feel. The first
That
one
was
felt
the thing.
everything was
Yep.
like it was
Yep.
close and crowded, but I felt like towards the end of the con, everyone knew everyone almost. It was really cool.
Yeah,
feel.
you got really used to seeing the same people very frequently.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I don't because it was so big because they had to grow it. It didn't have that
Was
same
it
feel.
at the convention center in downtown?
Yeah, and then
For real?
and they had like
that's
4
huge.
or
That's-
3 different hotels that they sold out of people. It was
Whoa.
massive.
That's where they have NAMM in the
Yeah.
summer for music stuff.
It was
so
pretty
that's-
big. So
Wow.
All right,
All right.
cool, Eddie. Thank
Sick.
you. I'm happy you had that experience meeting
Yeah,
all
that's
those
awesome.
famous voice actors and whatnot.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have one voicemail left,
Okay.
and this is a special one because this is our first ever singing voicemail. And
How's the volume, Jeremiah? Do I need to turn it down, turn it up? What do I
maybe
do?
turn it down because I accidentally turned it all the way up on my end. So maybe.
Okay. Thanks for the
But
warning.
this is gonna be a good one. Let's see if you can figure out who sent this in.
Okay.
Because you might recognize it, but this is our first one. I hope this is a trend that like people start singing voicemails because that'll be fun. But let's take a listen.
Here I am, sending a voicemail to make the podcast a little longer. Da, 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 da.
That was it, Will?
The age old trick of saying la or duh when you don't have anything to sing.
Thank you.
I don't know if I'll ever be able to figure out who that was.
I'll give you a hint.
Wait, are
He's
you
also
being sarcastic?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Will, for for that
Fuck you,
amazing
Will.
singing voicemail. You got a good pair of chops, and I liked how he sung it to. What's the name of the song from Willy Wonka? I don't even know what's the name of the song.
Imagination.
Yeah, Imagination.
But not the one that Pedro Pascal sang to save the world from COVID. That's Imagine.
What?
I did never. Was that Celebrity Collab thing?
Yeah.
I never watched that because I heard it was terrible.
It was really bad
I've
at
never
some parts.
seen
Some of it was really good because they actually got vocalists to do it, and then some of it was really bad.
Right. So
It's a meme.
That was a wonderful treat, Will. Thank you for going out and taking such a risk to have all these people hear you sing.
We should end
appreciate
every episode with that.
But that could be our new transition.
The outro music?
No, the new voicemail transition. But
no, you can't do that.
But that being said, I think it'd be cool if people started sending in singing voicemails.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, with as big as our audience is, some of you can sing. I know some of you can.
Addie
can sing.
Yeah.
I think Lucy has mentioned before that she likes to sing. So Lucy, that's a big combo right there. Lucy's writing skills, like her writing music lyrics and like singing, that'd be really cool. And she plays piano too, so we could get like a whole.
Are we gonna have our Empire Radio, American Idol?
Maybe. So send in a singing voicemail if you know how to sing. That'd be really cool. Whether we know you already or not, I think it would be cool. All right.
Especially during the first Tuesday of every month.
Right. When Andrew's going to be here, that would be.
I would love to hear those.
So that's all we have planned for tonight. Andrew, what do you have anything that you want to do for next time? Have you just started a EU with Andrew at all, or do you need some ideas for that? Or
so I was thinking about doing an EU with Andrew next month, but I need to know what people want me to talk about.
So I asked that question recently, back when you were on last.
Yeah.
Because we did like a general, like, what do you want us to do this summer, blah, 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 before Ahsoka comes out. And so there was...
I know Darth Nihilus was was one of the ones that I kept hearing.
Yeah, so Pizza says, I would like to see Darth Vitiate or Nihilus would be cool.
Oh, so the Eternal Emperor.
So there's that. I'm trying to scan through these.
The way that I just sounded so nerdy when I said that.
Ooh,
Anyways,
the Eternal. Oh yeah.
Joseph, the best Star Wars fan, says, I would like to see more EU Luke in the EU with Andrew episode.
Oh.
Maybe
it's time. Maybe it's time to like
literally from the first episode we've ever had, you were talking about EU Luke.
Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to chart his progression through the EU. Oh yeah, Yellow Snow says EU Dark Horse comics. Those comics were insane. Maybe it's time to chart Luke's journey through the EU post Return of the Jedi. That's a really big task. But maybe it's time to summarize what happened and the powers he gained and stuff.
Yeah. I think that's all of them that were mentioned. Is Death Troopers, is
vid-
that a EU thing or is that a canon thing? That's
Death
Nate Keeney sent that one.
That's a good idea too, because it's just a book. It would be a book review.
Yeah, that's the
man,
one.
that's a good one.
So
That's a good one.
That's the zombie one, right?
Yeah, it's a zombie one.
The one
There
I
are two
really
zombie
wanna read that
books.
book. I
There are
really
two
wanna read
zombie
that book.
books. So that one's so scary. It's super scary if you listen to the audiobook while you're reading it, because they add in like groans and screams and stuff in the background. It's
heck
like very
yeah.
Walking Dead. Dude, it's insane. So there are two Death Troopers and then Red oh wait, hold on.
There's that mechanical keyboard. That's the loudest keyboard on the world.
Red Harvest.
Yes.
So I've read both of those, and Red Harvest is a zombie story that takes place at a Sith academy during the Old Republic. So think about zombies, but everyone's force sensitive, and the zombies actually like wipe the floor with them. So maybe it's like a Star Wars zombie episode, and we do like a summary of both stories.
Unless you
in
want to
tandem.
keep that for October.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. So yeah, maybe I'll do.
I want to
'cause
read
I did
those
the-
books.
Yo, dude, they're super good. I want to reread Death Troopers, but my brother-in-law Gabe has it still. I need to get that back. And my other brother-in-law has Plagueis. I also need to get that back.
I want a
Um,
breakdown of that book by you.
You could do Plagueis. That is that is an EU thing. You could do that.
Sick.
I really need to get that book back so I can just
So-
reread it.
And then the last one, I don't know if this is a EU thing or not, but Alphabet Squadron books.
No, that's canon.
Okay, then.
And
that
I actually
was-
have not read those. I have the first one. I have the first one.
All right.
So I haven't read it yet though. But yeah, I would say tentatively speaking, we're probably gonna do Luke or Plagueis.
Okay. And we don't have a date for that because that's 4th of July week and Drew's out of town a little bit. So we're trying to figure that out.
Yep.
But we'll keep you posted on when that will be. And we'll keep you posted. All right.
Sweet.
Cool. So that is tonight's episode. 3 hours and 16 minutes. Good
Oh my
old 316. Good old 316. So let's just go over some social media stuff and get out of here because it's late. So in the description below, there is a links.co/Empire Radio, links with 2 eyes. Click that link, and that is everything Empire Radio, Instagram, Facebook, Discord invite, our fan email to leave there's a link for the voicemail. So send in a voicemail, sing something for us. There is the Needlessly Nerdy Entertainment Network that we are part of. So go check that out if you want more nerdy content. The VCU Illustration Project is the link for that is there. Remember, there's only like 7 or 8 voicemails left. So go get those illustrated. You can send me an email to our fan email if you want to call dibs on one and I'll cross it off and give you a little timeline to get that done. There's links for Twitch and YouTube. So we live stream every episode on Twitch, and then I edit and upload the video version on YouTube as well. If you want to check that out, go follow us everywhere and anywhere. Help us out. And
Come to EmpireCon.
Come to
Samurai
EmpireCon.
Slice that subscribe button.
Yep. And come to EmpireCon. Sign up is due next month. So you got like 6 weeks before sign up is done for that. So go check that out. More the merrier. And that's everything. Anything else, guys, that you want to mention before we're out of here?
Nope. I've
All
talked
right.
enough.
Yep. All right. Well, you've been listening to another Andrew-tastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Drew.
And may the force be with you.
Always.